Classmates, please have your wristbands ready. We are about to begin the test. Today is the final mock exam before the college entrance examination, and I hope you will all take it seriously. According to reliable sources, this year's exam will be quite difficult. During the exam, you might encounter experts ranked Silver I. Although there won't be many, they will be more than enough to give you trouble. Ding Yuning, the homeroom teacher of Class 12, a senior 3, stood at the podium. She adjusted the glasses on the bridge of her nose and looked at her students with a serious expression. Silver I. Oh my god, this year's exam is actually that hard. It's all over, it's all over. I'm only Bronze V. If I run into a Silver I expert, I'm dead for sure. I'm Bronze 4 now. There are still 2 weeks until the Gaokao. With a bit of effort, I should be able to reach Bronze 3. I can't beat Silver I players, but fighting others should be fine. I've decided during the Gaokao, I'll play like a sneaky camper. Take down as many as I can one by one. The clamor around him jolted Wang Hao awake. He rubbed his eyes and stared in confusion at the unfamiliar surroundings. How could he be here? Immediately after a vast flood of information poured into Wang Hao's mind, he had actually transmigrated. An expression of utter incredulity appeared on his face. He had originally been an ordinary person on Earth, yet after a single sleep, he had inexplicably transmigrated to this unfamiliar world. A century ago, after a rain of meteorites, this world had undergone earth-shaking changes. The formerly docile animals had mutated, becoming ferocious and bloodthirsty. Even some humans had turned into flesh-eating zombies. Human civilization suffered a devastating blow. Just when humanity was on the verge of despair, someone succeeded in deciphering part of the technology that had come down with the meteor shower. The most significant among them was the virtual battlefield. Wang Hao was astonished to discover that the so-called virtual battlefield resembled the battle royale games on Earth. It was in fact a real battle royale game. The difference was that any individual or team that claimed first place in the virtual battlefield could obtain an item from a treasure chest, and this item could be brought into reality. Furthermore, participating in the virtual battlefield also earned you exchange points, which could be used in the virtual battlefield's mall to redeem supplies. On top of that, the virtual battlefield could train the marksmanship and even the situational awareness of those who enter. It was precisely by training countless batches of excellent soldiers in the virtual battlefield, and by acquiring various supplies through it, that the surviving remnants of humanity managed to hold on. Naturally, holding on was all it was. The zombies and mutated beasts had not been completely wiped out. They still lurked outside the cities, threatening the survivors. Precisely because of the virtual battlefield's importance, the annual college entrance examination no longer tested academic knowledge. Instead, it was evaluated by one's performance in the virtual battlefield. Wang Hao, who had transmigrated here, was himself a graduating student, and there were roughly 2 weeks left before the Gaokao. Bang, bang, bang. Ding Yuning rapped the lectern. Quiet. Get your wristband watches ready and prepare for the test. Today's mode is solo queue. You will have no teammates on the battlefield. Everything depends on yourselves. The virtual battlefield was wonderful, but it was by no means without entry restrictions. First, those under 18 could not enter the game. Second, the virtual battlefield had 3 modes, solo, duo, and squad, and each mode could be entered at most once per day. Solo was free, while duo and squad required spending exchange points to enter. Wang Hao took out his wristband. It was a smart wristband, essentially an ID card carrying his personal information, and it was also the connector that allowed him to enter the virtual battlefield. Ding Yuning wrote the room number and password for this exam on the blackboard. Normally, entering the virtual battlefield required no room creation, but today's solo match was an exam, and its content was uniformly set by the school rather than randomly matched. Thus, a custom room was necessary. Together with the students around him, Wang Hao entered the room number and password. In an instant, everyone in the classroom was wrapped in light and vanished. When Wang Hao's vision cleared, he found himself in a plaza. Wang Hao turned to survey his surroundings. Groups of people stood scattered across the plaza, while around it stretched a vast azure ocean. This really was highly similar to the scenes in a battle royale game. Wang Hao glanced down at his smart wristband, which displayed the match data and a mini-map. Including himself, the plaza contained exactly 100 people. Hey man, where are you from? Hey beautiful, what's your name? Let's be friends. That outfit looks pretty awesome. Which style is it? Wang Hao tried to converse with the people nearby, but soon discovered that his attempts were completely futile. None of them responded to him in the slightest. As expected, they're all virtual characters. They won't interact. Wang Hao muttered to himself. The virtual battlefield had many modes. This exam was solo mode. Aside from Wang Hao, everyone else on the battlefield was a virtual character, not a single real person. The strength of these virtual characters was uniformly set by the school. Every student was assigned exactly the same group of players in the battlefield. It was as if each student was playing the same instance, with these instances completely independent and non-interfering. Just as Wang Hao was watching the countdown and waiting for the battle to officially begin, a mechanical-sounding voice suddenly spoke into his ear. The game is about to start. The assistance function has been activated. Please choose one of the following 3 options as the assistants for this match. 1. More supplies. Level 1, you can see double the supplies others see. 2. See-through. Level 1, all other contestants within 200 meters are completely exposed to your sight. 3. More exchange points. Level 1, easily earn double the exchange points. Note, players can use exchange points to strengthen the assistance function. Please choose your assistants for this match. The sudden voice startled Wang Hao, however he quickly recovered and broke into a pleased smile. The golden finger of a transmigrator had arrived, late but still better than never. Since he had already encountered something as unbelievable as transmigration, accepting a golden finger was easy enough. The countdown continued, and Wang Hao had to decide on his assistance function before boarding the plane. After a moment's thought, Wang Hao made up his mind. I choose the second one, see-through. The first and third options were decent, but their help was limited for Wang Hao. Supplies could be gathered bit by bit, and exchange points, while precious, would only be so much if he couldn't survive to the end. Even double the points meant little. In comparison, the see-through function was unquestionably more useful. Confirmed. Then Wang Hao found that everyone around him appeared even clearer to his eyes, each bearing a marker showing exactly how far they were from him. With this ability, I won't have to worry about sneak attacks on the battlefield, let alone being caught by a camper, Wang Hao said to himself. However, the surprises were far from over. Since this is the player's first time entering the game, 1 random assistance function will be granted. Random assistance function selection confirmed. Congratulations, player. You have obtained the assistance function bullet wall piercing. See-through. Bullet wall piercing. Interesting. As the countdown ended, Wang Hao left the island plaza and materialized aboard an airplane. The flight path for this match originated at G-Port and terminated in the waters near N-Port. In the Battle Royale game, G-Port was one of the locations with relatively abundant supplies. Consequently, it typically attracted a large number of players, establishing it as a prime hotspot for aggressive firefights. Players who favored intense combat would often choose to drop here when the flight path permitted. The situation within the virtual battlefield was nearly identical. As the plane soared over G-Port and the jump signal was given, 15 or 16 players exited the aircraft almost instantaneously, their destination fixed squarely on G-Port. Wang Hao was among them. Leaping from the plane, the wind roared past his ears, drowning out all other sound. His vision gradually sharpened, revealing a landscape of neatly arranged shipping containers before him. G-Port's defining feature was its abundance of containers both within and around which lay plentiful supplies. Wang Hao's landing point was directly atop one of these containers. Upon landing, Wang Hao swiftly scavenged for gear. Fortune favored him, as an M416 assault rifle lay at his feet. Though lacking attachments, it came with 60 rounds of ammunition, with another 60 rounds resting on a nearby container. Wang Hao grabbed the M416 and the 120 rounds of ammunition, then promptly leaped off the container and slipped into an open one for cover. Since hitting the ground, gunfire had been relentless across G-Port. In that short span, the initial 16 players who dropped had been whittled down to just 12. 4 down already. That was fast, Wang Hao muttered, though his hands moved with practiced speed. Rat-a-tat. The distinctive report of the M416 rang out, bullets piercing the container's metal wall towards their target. Though concealed within the container, Wang Hao's field of vision was unparalleled thanks to his X-ray vision auxiliary ability. The 11 other players appeared as glowing figures within his sight. Every target that entered his view became a potential victim. Rat-a-tat. You eliminated virtual player 28 with an assault rifle M416. A virtual player scavenging for supplies on a container was eliminated by Wang Hao. Rat-a-tat. You eliminated virtual player 17 with an assault rifle M416. A virtual player hiding inside a container was eliminated by Wang Hao. Rat-a-tat. The gunfire continued unabated. Wang Hao, entrenched within his container, systematically harvested the virtual players throughout G-Port. With his X-ray vision, he could clearly discern their positions, effortlessly avoid their lines of sight, and launch attacks upon them simultaneously. Meanwhile, in the real world, Ding Yuning, the class teacher, was equally occupied. Through a projection, she monitored the live combat status of all 32 students in her class within the virtual battlefield. Due to technical limitations, Ding Yuning could not observe the specific combat actions of each student. She could only see whether they were alive and their kill counts. Thud. A dull sound echoed as one of the 32 avatars suddenly went dark. Ding Yuning frowned, muttering with displeasure. Li Ziming eliminated this quickly. He died before the first circle even shrank. I told him to practice more, but he completely ignored my advice. Being eliminated before the first circle appeared was the epitome of a land-and-lit death. Subsequently, more student avatars turned gray, indicating their eliminations. Ding Yuning's expression grew increasingly grim. Teacher Ding, how is your class performing? Several invigilators entered the classroom, including the principal and the dean of students. The question came from Principal Guanling. Why are so many gray? Dean Zhuguang, looking at the projection where a third of the avatars had gone dark, expressed both surprise and dissatisfaction. It's only the second circle, and a third of your class is already out. Teacher Ding, even for a regular class this performance is quite poor, isn't it? This test was somewhat more difficult. Ding Yunying explained, a hint of embarrassment in her voice. The test is uniform across the entire grade. If it's hard for you, it's hard for everyone. We just passed by class 1, and they haven't lost a single student. Their Xiao Tianlei has already secured 4 kills. Zhu Guang stated sternly. That was class 1. That was Xiao Tianlei. Ding Yunying silently complained. Class 1 was an advanced class with an average student age of 19. 5 years, meaning they had been in the virtual battlefield for an average of 5 years. Xiao Tianlei, turning 20 next month, was not only older, but also exceptionally talented, having already reached Silver V rank. He was one of the few Silver-tier experts in the entire grade. Comparing her students to Xiao Tianlei was simply not a fair contest. Principal Guanling also wore a displeased expression. He looked at Ding Yunying and said in a deep voice, Teacher Ding, the college entrance examination is in 2 weeks. I hope you can step up your efforts. We're not asking class 12 to bring glory to the school, but at the very least don't hold us back. If your class performs in the exam like they did today, it's over. Don't hold out any hope for your professional title evaluation this year. With that, Guanling turned and left, leaving Ding Yunying standing there with a bitter expression. Teacher Lu, what are you staring at? Let's go. Zhu Guang, following the principal, noticed one of the teachers accompanying them on the inspection. Teacher Lu standing beside Ding Yunying, staring fixedly at the screen without moving, not following them. Principal Dean, look at this student. Teacher Lu pointed at the projection, his lips trembling. What's wrong with that student? Zhu Guang followed Teacher Liu's pointing finger with some annoyance. Immediately he froze, his face a mask of shock. What is it? Guanling, puzzled by their expressions, turned back. When he too looked at the student, Teacher Lu was pointing at his reaction mirrored Zhu Guang's, almost exactly. No. 30 Wang Hao kills 22. How is this possible? 22 kills. It's only the second circle, and he's already got 22 kills. That's absolutely insane. Ding Yunying's earlier statement wasn't wrong. This test was indeed quite difficult. The school leadership had assessed the difficulty and unanimously agreed that achieving 8 kills would likely secure a top 10 spot in the grade. Reaching 10 kills could potentially place a student in the top 3 or even secure the school's first place. But what was happening now? It was only the second circle, and someone had already racked up 22 kills. It was simply too absurd. Even more unbelievable, this student was from a regular class. Since when did students from regular classes become this formidable? Teacher Ding, what's the situation with this Wang Hao? Guanling pointed at Wang Hao's avatar, his surprise mixed with delight. In the brief moment it took to ask, Wang Hao's kill count jumped again, becoming 23. This is a master. An absolute master. How had their school harbored such a top student without anyone noticing? I don't know either. Ding Yunying also stared at Wang Hao's avatar, utterly bewildered, still in a state of shock. She had been proctoring the exam since it began, but her attention had been mostly on those who had been eliminated and the students who usually performed well in her class. She hadn't noticed Wang Hao's situation. It was only now that she realized Wang Hao had quietly racked up 22 kills, no 23. Did her class really have such a top student? Even the high achievers in the key classes couldn't match this score, right? Teacher Ding, isn't he a student in your class? How could you not know? Zhu Guang, having snapped out of his shock, couldn't help but speak up. He is a student in my class, Ding Yunying. However, he's the youngest student in our class, having just turned 18 yesterday. Today should be his first or second time entering the virtual battlefield. I didn't expect him to perform so well. Just turned 18 yesterday. Guanling and the others looked even more astonished upon hearing this. Of course, beyond the surprise, there was even more delight. Regardless of whether this was Wang Hao's first or second time in the virtual battlefield, his performance today was enough to prove he was a genius, a bona fide top student. Achieving 23 kills with only 1 or 2 entries into the virtual battlefield was an absolutely phenomenal feat across the entire educational world. None of them had ever heard of anyone accomplishing such a thing before today. What made them happy was that this top student was from their school. Teacher Ding, you must focus on cultivating a genius student like this. Guanling said to Ding Yunying with a serious expression. I have some collected videos of top experts battling. After this exam, I'll give them to him. Also, don't waste the opportunity for 2 paid entries into the virtual battlefield each day. Arrange it for him. The school will cover the costs. What he lacks most right now is experience. Participating in more battles will benefit him. Yes, Principal. Ding Yunying quickly agreed. Having a genius student in her class was a great stroke of luck for her. If Wang Hao performed outstandingly in the college entrance examination, she as his head teacher would also share in the glory. Principal, I think it's inappropriate for a genius student like this to stay in class 12. Just as Ding Yunying was secretly rejoicing and preparing to make Wang Hao her key focus, the grade leader, Fei Chong, suddenly spoke up. Well, what are your thoughts? Guanling asked, looking at Fei Chong. Ding Yuning also looked at him, a sense of foreboding rising in her heart. Class 12 is just an ordinary class. The talents and abilities of the other students are limited. If Wang Hao stays with them, it might hinder his progress. Fei Chong continued, moreover, Teacher Ding has always been the head teacher of ordinary classes and lacks experience teaching top students. She may not be able to teach Wang Hao effectively. My suggestion is to transfer Wang Hao to Class 1 and have Teacher Zhao teach him. Teacher Zhao is our school's gold medal teacher. I believe that under Teacher Zhao's guidance, Wang Hao's abilities can improve rapidly. Fei Chong spoke with a serious air, as if his words were entirely for Wang Hao's benefit, but Ding Yuning could discern the selfish motive behind his speech. The head teacher of Class 1 was a relative of Fei Chong. However, even though she could see Fei Chang's selfishness, Ding Yuning couldn't argue against him because there was some truth in what he said. She had indeed only ever taught ordinary classes, and Teacher Zhao of Class 1 was indeed a gold medal teacher. Guan Ling pondered for a moment upon hearing this, then said, "What you say makes sense. After the exam, I'll have a chat with Wang Hao." Guan Ling's words left Ding Yuning feeling deeply bitter. The joy that had just risen in her heart was now completely gone. Meanwhile, Wang Hao, currently on the virtual battlefield, was unaware of what was happening in the real world. At that moment, he was driving a buggy searching for targets. With the powerful aid of X-ray vision and bullet penetration, Wang Hao was extremely safe on the battlefield. First, he hid inside a shipping container and cleared out the virtual players in the G-port area, then he drove around looking for more. Thanks to X-ray vision, Wang Hao could clearly pinpoint the exact locations of all virtual players within 200 meters, so he never had to worry about ambushes. Combined with the bullet penetration aid, he could simply park his car far away, find a hidden spot, and then unleash a barrage of gunfire. Wang Hao's backpack was a level 3 pack, and it contained nothing but ammunition, hundreds of bullets at his disposal. This is so unfair. It's really unfair to everyone else. At this moment, Wang Hao was hiding in a small restroom by the roadside, firing wildly at a 2-story building over 100 meters away, while shaking his head and muttering to himself. If there was one thing that still dissatisfied Wang Hao, it was his terrible marksmanship. He often needed over 100 bullets to take down a single enemy, and this was only achieved when the opponent had nowhere to hide and no chance to fight back. If the enemy could take cover, Wang Hao probably wouldn't have gotten many kills, even with his X-ray vision. His poor marksmanship wasn't really his fault. This was his first time entering the virtual battlefield, and he had never received any relevant training before, so his poor aim was only natural. After spending nearly 100 bullets to eliminate the unfortunate soul in that building, Wang Hao left the restroom, drove straight to the building, and found the poor guy's loot box glowing red. Wang Hao unceremoniously collected all the .56 caliber bullets from the box, then gathered another 60 .56 caliber bullets from inside the building. Then he jumped down, got into his car, and went off to find his next victim. My God, he killed another one. That's the 27th one. It's hard to imagine how many he'll rack up this match. This is the 3rd circle, and there's still plenty of time in the match. He can still get more. In the classroom of Class 12 as Senior Year 3, Ding Yuning, the head teacher, had become a mere spectator. Guan Ling and the others had firmly secured the best positions to watch Wang Hao's avatar on the projection screen. Since discovering this genius top student, they had stopped their inspection rounds and lingered in Class 12, clearly waiting for Wang Hao's exam to conclude. I see you. You hid well, but no matter how well you hide, you can't escape my eyes. On the virtual battlefield, Wang Hao raised his sniper rifle, aiming at a corner of a small room on the 2nd floor of a distant building where a virtual player was currently lying prone. This man was the only other survivor on the battlefield besides Wang Hao. As for the other virtual players, they were either killed by Wang Hao or died in battles amongst themselves. And now the 4th circle had just appeared. The virtual battlefield had a total of 8 circles. The further you went, the shorter the time between circle shifts and the smaller the safe zone became. Now that the 4th circle had just refreshed, the safe zone was still quite large. Yet this relatively large circle had already turned into the final circle of feet that was undoubtedly thanks to Wang Hao's efforts. It was precisely because Wang Hao drove around hunting for people that the rate of eliminations accelerated, causing the final circle to arrive early. If not for Wang Hao's poor marksmanship and his constant need to replenish ammunition, the final circle might have arrived even sooner. Bang! A gunshot rang out. Blood spurted from the virtual player in his sights, his helmet shattered, and his health dropped by more than half. The attacked virtual player scrambled to his feet and fled in panic. However, he had no idea where the attack came from, and thus didn't know where to take cover to avoid being hit again. His frantic dodging was purely instinctive. He wasn't worried. He was confident the target would stop to heal. He just needed to patiently wait for the player to stop moving. Simply too difficult for him. He wasn't worried. He was confident the target would stop to heal. He just needed to patiently wait for the player to stop. Sure enough, after about 10 seconds, the virtual player stopped moving. He found a spot he deemed safe, lay prone again, and began using a medkit to restore his health. In his sight, the virtual player's health bar was emptied, and he transformed into a glowing crate. Winner winner chicken dinner. After Wang Hao eliminated in his sight, the virtual player's health bar was emptied, and he transformed into a glowing crate. Winner winner chicken dinner. After Wang Hao eliminated this player, 4 golden characters appeared in the void before him. Then an airdrop crate slowly descended from the sky. This was the most thrilling moment. According to the memories in Wang Hao's mind, the airdrop crate could randomly yield various items. The most common were food items, but there were also weapons, vehicles, gene serums, and so on. Some people had even reportedly opened crates containing living creatures. Generally speaking, the lower the rank of the battlefield, the lower the value of the items found in the airdrop crates. The higher the rank, the higher the probability of obtaining high-quality items. Back in the day, humanity's ability to hold on was largely thanks to these airdrop crates. Of course, getting a chicken dinner was extremely difficult. Even on low-ranked battlefields, only a select few managed to survive to the end. Most people entered the battlefield not to secure first place. They knew they lacked the skill, but rather to survive as long as possible and rack up as many kills as they could. This was because participating in the virtual battlefield offered not just airdrop crates, but also exchange points. According to the rules of the virtual battlefield, a player earned 1 exchange point for each circle they survived and 1 point for each kill. Successfully surviving to the very end granted an additional 10 exchange points. Earning exchange points was the more realistic goal for ordinary participants in the virtual battlefield. With exchange points, one could trade for various supplies in the virtual battlefields and game shop. The virtual battlefields shop was said to contain everything imaginable. However, acquiring those items wasn't easy. For one, the items were generally priced high, and exchange points were hard to come by. Secondly, many items had restrictions on their exchange. Some required a certain rank, others a certain D rating, and some even required a certain amount of field damage. The rarer the item, the more numerous and stringent the requirements. In other words, even if you had enough exchange points, you might not be able to exchange them for what you wanted. Clang. The airdrop crate landed heavily on the open ground in front of Wang Hao. Wang Hao walked up to the crate, placed his hand on it, and it opened. Meal boxes. What appeared before Wang Hao were meal boxes. Refusing to give up, Wang Hao opened one of the boxes. Inside was a full serving of plain white rice. Wang Hao was utterly disappointed. My luck is this bad. I actually got plain white rice. Wang Hao muttered to himself. Wang Hao's current rank was Bronze V, and the difficulty of this exam was around Bronze I. Although he knew the probability of getting good items from an airdrop crate at a low rank was extremely low, only getting meal boxes was truly disheartening. The only silver lining was that the boxes were quite large. He estimated 1 box could feed him for a day, and there were 100 boxes in total. Normally, after claiming the reward from the airdrop crate, Wang Hao would be teleported back to reality. But in this case, he was still on the virtual battlefield. Just as Wang Hao was wondering about this, that mechanical voice echoed in his mind again. Players can use exchange points to permanently retain one of 3 randomly selected aids. Permanently retain. Wang Hao's eyes lit up. If he could truly keep it permanently, entering the virtual battlefield in the future would be like having an extra advantage. Of the 3 aids, Wang Hao was most drawn to X-ray vision. However, upon seeing the prices for the 3 aids, his enthusiasm was instantly doused. More supplies, level 1 200 exchange points. X-ray vision, level 1 1000 exchange points. More exchange points, level 1 500 exchange points. Even the cheapest aid required 200 exchange points. In this match, Wang Hao survived to the 4th circle, earning 4 exchange points. He killed 30 people, earning 30 exchange points. Finally, he secured the chicken dinner, earning an additional 10 exchange points. In total, he earned 44 exchange points from this single game. This earning rate was definitely not slow. For an average person, earning 5 exchange points in a game was already considered decent, and getting over 10 was certainly something to brag about for a long time. However, although Wang Hao had earned a considerable number of points this game, he was still far from being able to afford an aid. Helpless, he had no choice but to give up. Whoosh. The next second, Wang Hao appeared in the classroom of Class 12, Grade 12. Along with him, the 100 meal boxes materialized as well. Wang Hao's sudden appearance startled Guan Ling and the others. Wang Hao, why are you out already? Ding Yunying asked, looking at him in surprise. On the virtual battlefield, even if you were eliminated early, you couldn't leave immediately. You had to wait until the entire match ended, meaning only when someone secured the chicken dinner would all participants be teleported back. Today's exam started at the same time for the entire grade. Typically, the victor on the virtual battlefield would only be decided by the 6th or even 7th circle. Now the exam time had only just reached the 4th circle, with a considerable amount of time remaining. Wang Hao's sudden appearance at this moment naturally shocked Ding Yunying and the others. It's over. We got teleported out as soon as we finished. Wang Hao replied casually. Finished? That fast? The game ending at this time was clearly unusual. So you're Wang Hao? Guan Ling led a group of school officials, approaching Wang Hao with a beaming smile. Yes, I am. Wang Hao nodded. And you are? Wang Hao, this is Principal Guan. Ding Yuning quickly stepped in to introduce him, then proceeded to introduce the others, including Zhu Guang and the rest. All of them were school leaders. Wang Hao looked at Guan Ling and the others, inwardly clicking his tongue in amazement. "You've worked hard, Wang Hao," Guan Ling said with a warm smile. "Not at all. It wasn't hard at all," Wang Hao replied. He was being completely truthful. Throughout the entire game, he had kept his distance, barely even catching a glimpse of the other players' faces. He simply hid in a concealed spot and fired his weapon. How could that be considered hard work? "Wang Hao, I heard you just turned 18. Guan Ling continued. Wang Hao nodded. "Today is my first time entering the virtual battlefield." Guan Ling's eyes lit up considerably at this, and his smile grew even broader. "Achieving a 30-kill record on your first entry into the virtual battlefield. Wang Hao, you're a genius. For a talent like yours, our school will not overlook you. Come with me to my office later. I have some videos of top-tier expert battles there that you can watch and learn from. Also, I've decided to transfer you to Class 1. It's our school's key class with the most experienced teachers. Although there are only 2 weeks left before the college entrance exam, it should still help you improve your abilities to some extent." Ding Yuning, standing at the back of the crowd, heard Guan Ling's words, and her face immediately fell. Watching her student being poached, Ding Yuning felt helpless, especially since the one doing the poaching was the principal himself. Wang Hao, however, looked at Guan Ling and smiled. "Thank you for your concern, principal. But there's no need to transfer classes. I think Class 12 is great, and I like it here. With only 2 weeks until the exam, switching to a new class would mean spending time adapting to a new environment, which might affect my performance." A sudden turn of events. Ding Yuning, who had been utterly dejected, heard Wang Hao's words, and her disappointment instantly transformed into shock, then into overwhelming joy. Fei Chong, standing beside the principal, had a slight change in expression, looking at Wang Hao with a hint of surprise. Guan Ling pondered Wang Hao's words for a moment before replying. "What you say makes sense. Very well, you may remain in Class 12. Teacher Ding, I trust you will take good care of Wang Hao and ensure his talent isn't wasted. Rest assured, principal. I will give my all to help Wang Hao, and I won't be negligent in the slightest." Ding Yuning quickly assured him. Wang Hao was crucial to her chances of getting her professional title evaluated, so Ding Yuning naturally wouldn't dare to be lax. Guan Ling nodded with satisfaction, then led Wang Hao out of the Class 12 classroom and towards the principal's office. After Guan Ling and the others had left, Ding Yuning finally noticed the stack of over 100 boxed meals beside Wang Hao's seat. Boxed meals? Could it be? Wang Hao was the final victor. Did he get these from the airdrop crate? Ding Yuning stared in astonishment at the gleaming white rice, her mouth agape. Earlier, everyone had been startled by Wang Hao's sudden appearance, their attention focused entirely on him, so no one had noticed the boxed meals next to his desk. Ding Yuning was certain that these boxed meals hadn't been there before Wang Hao entered the virtual battlefield. This meant he had brought them out from within it. To achieve 30 kills on his first entry into the virtual battlefield, survive until the very end, and finish the battle much faster than everyone else, what an incredibly monstrous talent. Before long, students began trickling back into the once empty classroom. The exams were ending one by one, and people were handing in their papers. "Damn, this exam was way too hard. I only managed to kill 2 bots. You're lucky you got 2 kills. I died right after landing, and basically watched the whole match. Does anyone know who did the best in our class this time? Was it Zhao Bing? Probably him. He always does well. Probably. Definitely not him. Look at the projection screen. Whoa, what's going on? How did Wang Hao get so many kills? Didn't he just turn 18 yesterday and get access to the virtual battlefield? How is he this good? Do you think he's cheating? Are you crazy? The virtual battlefield has been around for over a century. Many tech companies have tried and failed to crack it. No one has ever heard of anyone cheating in there. How could Wang Hao be cheating? I was just saying. Of course I know there's no cheating in the virtual battlefield, but Wang Hao's record is just too terrifying, isn't it? The entire Class 12 was in a chaotic uproar, like a bustling marketplace. Initially, the students emerging from the exam hall were exchanging their scores, but soon all their attention was captivated by Wang Hao's record. 30 kills. This was a feat that even students in the key classes found difficult to achieve. Wang Hao, a student from an ordinary class, just like them, had managed it. This completely shattered their preconceptions, and the commotion it caused among the Class 12 students was immense. Clap, clap, clap. Ding Yuning, back on the podium, clapped her hands to get her students' attention and quiet them down. As you've all seen, Wang Hao achieved a 30-kill record. He also managed to survive until the very end and earned the airdrop reward. Ding Yuning addressed her students. He is the pride of Class 12. I hope you will all learn from him in the future. Wang Hao even got the airdrop reward. Only then did everyone notice the stack of over 100 boxed meals next to Wang Hao's seat. How long had it been since someone from Class 12 had obtained the airdrop reward? As students in an ordinary class, their skills were limited. Every time they entered the virtual battlefield, most of them resorted to a camping strategy. While camping allowed them to survive longer, the safe zone would inevitably shrink in the late game, making combat unavoidable. It was usually at that point that they were eliminated. Almost no one managed to survive to the very end. But now Wang Hao had done it. Teacher Ding was right. Wang Hao was indeed the pride of Class 12. Their class had produced a genius. Meanwhile, after Guanling led Wang Hao to the principal's office, he didn't rush to show him the videos. Instead, he engaged Wang Hao in casual conversation. About 10 minutes later, a knock came at the principal's office door, and 3 students walked in. Now that everyone is here, let me introduce you all. Guanling stood up with a smile, looking at the 3 students. You 3 should be familiar with each other by now. The student beside me is named Wang Hao from Class 12. Wang Hao, these 3 are Zhuang Shuer, Jiang Ji, and Hong Lishing from classes 1, 2, and 3 respectively. I'm sure you've heard of them before. Heard of them, of course. Wang Hao was indeed no stranger to the names of Zhuang Shuer and her 2 companions. The trio perpetually dominated the top 3 ranks in their grade, with the order occasionally shifting among them, yet never once had any of them fallen out of the top 3. However, this was the first time he had ever seen them in person. Classes 1, 2, and 3 were the school's 3 elite classes, while Wang Hao's class 12 was merely an ordinary one. The gap between the elite and ordinary classes was immense, and under normal circumstances there was little to no interaction between the 2 groups. From Class 12. Principal, why did you call a student from Class 12 here? Jiang Ji glanced at Wang Hao with a hint of contempt. Class 12 was an ordinary class incomparable to their elite ones. I called you all here to first show you some battle videos of top-tier players, and then the 4 of you will form a team and enter the virtual battlefield for a match. Guanling said. Form a team and enter the virtual battlefield with him. Hong Lishing pointed at Wang Hao, his face etched with undisguised disdain. Principal, did you get it wrong? Having us enter the virtual battlefield with him is simply burdening us with dead weight. The daily opportunity to enter the virtual battlefield was precious. Teaming up with a liability would essentially be wasting that chance. Student Wang Hao is quite formidable, Guanling said. These were the school's top scholars, and Guanling was somewhat lenient with them. Had anyone else spoken like that, he would have kicked them out long ago. How strong can a student from an ordinary class be? Jiang Ji remarked. It'd be better to have Li Bin or Su San come instead. The students Jiang Ji mentioned Li Bin and Su San had grades slightly inferior to theirs, but on good days could break into the top 10 of the grade. They occasionally formed squads of 4 with Jiang Ji and the others. Student Wang Hao is stronger than them, Guanling said. Alright, let's watch the videos first. Wang Hao stronger than Li Bin and the others. Impossible. Jiang Ji and the others didn't believe Guanling's words. However, since Guanling was the principal and had made his decision, they couldn't say much more. Just wait until we're on the battlefield. If he performs poorly, watch how we'll tear into him, Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing silently resolved. Zhuang Shuer, on the other hand, merely observed Wang Hao with curiosity, saying nothing. As for Wang Hao, he too remained silent, quietly sizing up the trio. He had only heard of their names before, never having had any contact with them. Today marked their first close encounter. Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing both exuded an air of arrogance, their noses practically pointing skyward, while Zhuang Shuer was comparatively quiet, though her lively, intelligent eyes suggested she was a sharp one. So these were the 3 heroes of 5th High? Seemed just so-so. Guanling played the battle videos of top-tier players he had collected on his computer. Wang Hao glanced over and noticed that these so-called battle videos were essentially just annihilation and unknown duel modes. The virtual battlefield also allowed for annihilation and duel modes and even side bets. However, the cards to open such rooms were expensive and had rank restrictions. Ordinary people couldn't purchase them. Of course, room cards could also be obtained from airdrop crates, but the probability was extremely low. Watch closely and learn well. Guanling said to them. These players are at least in the gold rank, and 2 of them have even reached platinum. Their movement and marksmanship are exceptionally strong. Platinum rank is indeed strong, but with my talent I'm certain I can reach it in due time. Jiang Ji declared with utmost confidence. Zhuang Shuer, Jiang Ji, and Hong Lishing had all reached the silver rank, making them the school's top-tier players. In the virtual battlefield, climbing the ranks was extremely difficult. After all, it wasn't a game, one had to fight personally, with psychology, on-the-spot performance, and other factors influencing the outcome of battles. Furthermore, each major rank promotion represented a threshold. It wasn't merely a matter of accumulating points. Advancing to a higher major rank required passing a promotion match. These matches were notoriously difficult, and their difficulty increased with each rank tier. For many, those in the platinum rank were already considered experts. I believe all of you can reach platinum, Guanling. We 3 have no problem, but him. That's not so certain, Hong Lishing said, looking at Wang Hao with a sarcasm. Can you speak normally? If not, keep your mouth shut, Wang Hao retorted, staring at Hong Lishing. What did I hit a nerve? Hong Lishing scoffed disdainfully. A student from an ordinary class worthy of being compared to us. You have no self-awareness at all. Student Hong Lishing, student Wang Hao is also very strong. He's likely to be your teammate in the college entrance examination. Guanling reminded them, somewhat exasperated. These were the top scholars he valued. His intention was for them to form a team for the 4-player squad event in the college entrance exam, but he hadn't anticipated that Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing would look down on Wang Hao so completely, their contempt barely concealed in their words. The college entrance examination consisted of 3 events: solo, duo, and squad. Each student's score was determined by their performance in these 3 matches. Points were awarded for kills, assists, rescuing teammates, and so on. "I'm not teaming up with someone like him," Jiang Ji stated. "Right, teaming up with him will only hold us back." Hong Lishing chimed in agreement. The stronger the teammates, the greater the benefit to the entire team, especially since rank points also factored into the exam scores. Hearing this, Guan Ling's headache worsened. He instinctively looked at Wang Hao, who shrugged and said, "Principal, actually, I already have my own team." The current college entrance examination format had existed for years, leading many to form teams in advance and participate in the exam as a fixed squad. These fixed teams would regularly enter the virtual battlefield together to practice and build synergy. However, Wang Hao had only just turned 18 yesterday, so it was naturally impossible for him to have a fixed team. He said this simply to avoid teaming up with Jiang Ji and the others. All right. Seeing that Wang Hao also declined, Guan Ling decided not to force the issue. Otherwise, forcing incompatible individuals to team up would likely backfire. "But since you're all here today, let's still play one match together as a team. It'll cover the cost." Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing had no objections to this arrangement. As long as they didn't have to be on Wang Hao's team for the exam, they were fine with it. In fact, they were eager to show Wang Hao a thing or two on the virtual battlefield. Wang Hao had no objections either. There was only one free entry into the virtual battlefield per day. Subsequent entries required spending exchange points, which were extremely valuable. Saving wherever possible was prudent. "Are you all ready?" After playing several combat videos, Guan Ling personally formed a team for the 4 of them. Wang Hao and the others nodded. Guan Ling then transferred 10 exchange points to each of the 4, covering the cost of entering the virtual battle. In duo and squad modes, each person entering the virtual battlefield needed to pay 10 exchange points. After paying the fee, Wang Hao and his 3 companions vanished from the principal's office and reappeared in the square of the virtual battlefield. "Any squad recruiting?" "My teammates bailed. Looking for a group to take me in. Everyone here is trash. If you've got the guts, drop at G Harbor. Anyone who doesn't show is my grandson. I'm just here to hide for points. Spare me." In the square, many players were shouting over the public voice chat, making the entire place incredibly noisy. This entry into the virtual battlefield differed from the earlier exam. That was a private room set up by the school for consistent testing. Now the 4 of them were randomly matched, much like playing a battle royale game on Earth, with most players being real people and a few bots. "Wang Hao, don't follow us when we parachute. Fly solo," Jiang Ji suddenly said to Wang Hao. "We're here to earn exchange points. Having you as dead weight will only hold us back," added Hong Lishing. From the very beginning, the 2 had looked down on Wang Hao. Even now that they were teamed up in the virtual battlefield, they didn't want to move with him. "That's exactly what I was thinking," Wang Hao replied. They didn't want to team up with him, and he didn't want to team up with them either. However, to Wang Hao's surprise, the always silent Zhuang Shuai suddenly spoke up. "Wang Hao will jump with you." Wang Hao stared at Zhuang Shuai in astonishment. He had assumed she was aligned with Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing and looked down on him too. He never expected her to volunteer to accompany him. Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing were equally surprised. "Zhuang Shuai, why are you going with him? He's a burden. If you stick with him, you won't last long," Jiang Ji said. "Exactly. The 3 of us together are safer. With our skills, even if we can't win the championship, we can easily make it to the final circle. Why do you want to team up with him?" Hong Lishing was also baffled. "I don't need to explain to you who I choose to go with," Zhuang Shuai said haughtily. Although she often played in squads with Jiang Ji and the others, they were merely ordinary teammates cooperating only to earn exchange points and gain rank points. There was no deep friendship between them. "Zhuang Shuai, you should go with them." "I want to go solo," Wang Hao said. With his support system, moving alone was undoubtedly more convenient. "See, he doesn't appreciate it." "Zhuang Shuai, come with us instead," Jiang Ji urged. Zhuang Shuai cast a disdainful glance at Wang Hao and said, "This virtual battlefield isn't your private property. I can jump wherever I like." Zhuang Shuai's insistence on following Wang Hao wasn't because she was attracted to his charm or because she knew he could activate his support system. It was due to Guan Ling's attitude toward Wang Hao. Although Guan Ling hadn't said much, it was clear he held Wang Hao in high regard. This piqued Zhuang Shuai's curiosity. She wondered what was so special about this ordinary class student that Guan Ling valued him so much. Zhuang Shuai's persistence gave Wang Hao a headache. She was his teammate. He could refuse to let her follow him, but he couldn't restrict her movements. If she was determined to stay by his side, there was nothing he could do. "Suit yourself," Wang Hao replied dismissively. At that moment, the mechanical voice once again echoed, "The game is about to begin. Support functions activated. Please choose one of the following 3 options as your support for this match. 1. Sprint. Level 1. Your movement speed is faster than others, doubled. 2. Gun proficiency. Level 1. When using firearms, your weapon damage is enhanced, increased by 50. 3. Auto-aim. Level 1. Within 100 meters, any shot within a 5-meter radius of the target automatically counts as a hit. Please select your support for this match. The 3 random support options for this game had appeared. After a brief consideration, Wang Hao made his choice. I choose auto-aim. Selection confirmed. Both sprint and gun proficiency were excellent options, especially gun proficiency. Once acquired, the power of Wang Hao's firearms would be greatly enhanced. But in comparison, Wang Hao felt that auto-aim was better. His marksmanship was terrible, so even with gun proficiency, if he couldn't hit his targets, the support would be useless. With auto-aim, however, he could compensate for his poor aim. The countdown ended quickly. Wang Hao and the others left the square and appeared on the plane. Even on the plane, Jiang Ji and Hong Lisheng didn't stop trying to persuade Zhuang Shui'er. However, Zhuang Shui'er ignored them, completely responding with silence. Wang Hao paid no attention to the 3 of them. He was considering where to drop for this match. He immediately ruled out Ji Harbor, his drop point from the previous match. First, it was far from the flight path. Second, without wall hacks and X-ray vision, the complex environment of Ji Harbor was too dangerous for him. His support for this round was auto-aim, which also had a distance limit. Therefore, it was best to choose a location with an open field of view and high ground. After some deliberation, Wang Hao made his decision: Research Institute. The Research Institute occupied a unique position, almost at the center of the island map. No matter which direction the safe zone shifted, players were likely to pass through the Research Institute during rotation. Moreover, 2 of the dormitory buildings there were quite tall, surrounded by plains with a broad view. If any vehicles passed by, Wang Hao could spot them in time. It's settled. I'm dropping at Research Institute. Although the flight path didn't pass directly over the Research Institute, it wasn't too far away. He could glide there after jumping. Wang Hao kept an eye on the flight path, and when he identified his target location, he immediately leaped from the plane. The moment Wang Hao jumped, Zhuang Shui'er, who had been watching him closely, also jumped, following right beside him. Zhuang Shui'er, don't follow him. He'll get you killed. Jiang Ji and Hong Lisheng continued trying to persuade her over the team voice channel, hoping she would change her mind at the last moment. But Zhuang Shui'er still couldn't be bothered to respond. The 2 finally gave up. Where should we drop? Jiang Ji asked Hong Lisheng. Let's find a remote spot to gear up first, Hong Lisheng said. How about hilltop ruins? Alright. This match was a squad game with 4 players per team. Unlike Wang Hao's team, most teams didn't split up, as this game, though not fatal in reality, was crucial for accumulating points and exchange credits. Although Jiang Ji and Hong Lisheng were confident in their abilities, they were at a numerical disadvantage with only 2 players against full teams. Thus, they had to avoid crowded areas and chose remote spots to develop. They actually jumped to the Research Institute. That's the center of the map, always crowded. They're really asking to be eliminated on landing, Jiang Ji remarked. Due to the flight path, Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er jumped first. Jiang Ji and Hong Lisheng watched their landing point. Seeing them head to the Research Institute, and distrusting Wang Hao's skills, they both predicted a quick demise for the pair. Zhuang Shui'er's match is wasted. I told her not to follow that mediocre student from the regular class, but she wouldn't listen. Now she'll pay the price. Getting eliminated on landing means it'll take 2 or 3 days to earn back the lost points. Hong Lisheng added. They were chatting in the team channel without muting Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er, so their conversation was audible to them. Wang Hao didn't pay much attention, but Zhuang Shui'er felt a pang of anxiety, even regretting her impulsive decision. If her curiosity led to an early elimination, the cost would be too high. In the virtual battlefield, earning exchange credits was tough, and points were just as hard to come by. Forget about them, let's get ready to jump. As Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er were about to land, the plane flew over the hilltop ruins. Jiang Ji and Hong Lisheng jumped out at that moment. No one else landed at the Research Institute dormitories. Meanwhile, Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er had landed. Just before touching down, Zhuang Shui'er chose to detach from the follow, and they each landed on the roofs of 2 adjacent dormitory buildings. After landing, Zhuang Shui'er didn't rush to scavenge for supplies. Instead, she immediately surveyed her surroundings. To her relief, only she and Wang Hao had chosen to land at the dormitories this match. There was no one else. At least I don't have to worry about being eliminated on landing, Zhuang Shui'er thought as she began to loot. How is there someone here? Damn, I'm taking damage. Hong Lisheng saved me. Just as Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er were quickly gathering supplies, Jiang Ji's panicked cries for help blared through the team channel. Then Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er saw Jiang Ji get knocked down. Where is he? Mark it, I can't see him. Hong Lisheng's voice trembled with panic. He just ran into that small room over there. He's probably out of ammo. Come save me quickly, Jiang Ji said. Hearing this, Hong Lisheng rushed towards Jiang Ji without a second thought. However, before he could get far, he too came under attack. What the hell? Jiang Ji, didn't you say he went to that small? Why did he appear right next to me? Hong Lisheng panicked, firing back while complaining. But caught off guard, Hong Lisheng had already lost the advantage. Combined with the shock of the ambush throwing him into disarray, he was knocked down shortly after. Your teammate Hong Lisheng was eliminated by player Zhou Yun using an M416. Your teammate Jiang Ji was eliminated by player Li Zong using an A-47. Han Lishing, barely down, was instantly finished off by a spray of bullets. Jiang Ji, who had been downed earlier, also met his end. It all happened so fast. From the moment Jiang Ji was attacked to both being eliminated took less than 10 seconds, leaving Wang Hao and Zhuang Shuai bewildered. Damn it! Damn it! The eliminated Jiang Ji and Han Lishing cursed loudly. Not only were Wang Hao and Zhuang Shuai stunned, but they were also in shock themselves. They had assumed the remote hilltop ruins would be deserted, never expecting an attack. Jiang Ji, didn't you say he left? Why was I attacked? It's all your fault. Han Lishing complained. How was I supposed to know there were others? The hilltop ruins was your choice. It's your fault. Instead of going to the buildings, you insisted on this godforsaken place. If you hadn't chosen this, I wouldn't have been eliminated on landing. I lost 36 points. It'll take me 2 days to earn them back. I'm going crazy. Jiang Ji showed no remorse, instead blaming Han Lishing. How was I supposed to know so many people would jump to the hilltop ruins? Why didn't you observe the surroundings when we were in the air? You didn't notice that many people landing here. You didn't see them either, did you? If you had, we wouldn't have been killed. I thought you were watching. The team channel was filled with the heated argument between Jiang Ji and Han Lishing. For anyone, being eliminated on landing was a major blow. Jiang Ji and Han Lishing had planned to play cautiously in the early game to develop, but they never expected to be eliminated so early. Do you two not enjoy playing and only like spectating? Just as the argument was reaching its peak, Wang Hao suddenly spoke up. Wang Hao's words instantly silenced the quarreling Jiang Ji and Han Lishing, leaving them feeling extreme. After all, before landing, they had been predicting that Wang Hao and Zhuang Shuai would be eliminated on landing. Yet Wang Hao and Zhuang Shuai were safe, while they themselves had been eliminated first. Humph! Wang Hao, don't get cocky. With your skill level, you won't last long either. Jiang Ji said angrily. At least I've lasted longer than you have, an IA. Wang Hao retorted. So what? Even if we got eliminated on landing, our ranks are still higher than yours. Han Lishing said. A higher rank only proves you've been in the virtual battlefield longer than me, not that you're stronger, Wang Hao stated. I'd like to see how good you really are. Jiang Ji said. So you really do enjoy spectating? Wang Hao said with a chuckle. All right, then watch closely and learn. With that, Wang Hao ignored them and continued looting. If they hadn't been hounding him relentlessly like mad dogs earlier, he wouldn't have bothered with them at all. Wang Hao's words infuriated Jiang Ji and Han Lishing. They had already decided that once Wang Hao got taken out, they would unleash a torrent of mockery. There were 7 buildings in the dormitory area. Wang Hao and Zhuang Shuai split up and quickly looted all of them. Where to now? Zhuang Shuai asked Wang Hao. She was determined to stick with him for the rest of the match. Nowhere. Well, Wang Hao replied. Stay here. Camp for points. Zhuang Shuai misunderstood Wang Hao's intention, and so did Jiang Ji and Han Lishing. I thought you were better than this, but it turns out you are just camping, Jiang Ji said sarcastically. Watch and learn. Han Lishing mimicked Wang Hao's tone, repeating his earlier words, learn how to camp right. Wang Hao ignored them. He lay prone on the rooftop of the tallest dormitory building, caressing his light brown AR-98, his eyes scanning the surroundings. In the virtual battlefield, each player could carry 2 long guns and 1 pistol. Pistols were a given, but the choice of long guns required careful consideration. Most players preferred a rifle paired with a submachine gun, offering versatility at both close and long range. However, Wang Hao's loadout for this match was unconventional: AS-686 shotgun paired with an AR-98 sniper rifle. Such a combination was extremely rare. Under normal circumstances, Wang Hao wouldn't choose it either. His decision was entirely due to this match's assist auto-aim. Within 100 meters, if a shot lands within 5 meters of the target, it counts as a hit. Wang Hao's recoil control was poor. 100 meters wasn't far, but it wasn't close either. At that distance, he struggled to keep his shots steady with continuous fire. If the recoil got away from him, the bullets would drift, and even with auto-aim, they might exceed the 5-meter radius around the target, failing to cause any damage. Thus, Wang Hao abandoned the rifle in favor of a sniper rifle. The AR-98's single-shot nature and high damage meant he didn't need to hit consecutively, just 1 or 2 shots could eliminate a target. With the auto-aim assist, landing 1 or 2 shots wasn't a problem for Wang Hao. As for the S-686, he chose it for the same reason. The S-686 dealt immense damage, enough to drop a foe in 1 shot. Its drawback was a tiny magazine of only 2 shells. If 2 shots failed to finish the job, there was a high risk of being killed in return. In this match, Wang Hao had auto-aim, so at close range he didn't worry about missing. The S-686 would be highly effective. Hey, there's a vehicle. From the corner of his eye, Wang Hao spotted a vehicle approaching from the distance. It might be heading for the research institute, or just passing by. Either way, its path was bringing it closer to the institute. A vehicle's coming. Zhuang Shuai warned over the team channel. I see it, Wang Hao replied, marking a warning, danger ahead. 254 meters. Wang Hao tracked the distance between him and the vehicle. Danger ahead. 198 meters. Danger ahead. Wang Hao kept marking. The auto-aim assist was powerful, but had a range limit. The vehicle was still over 100 meters away, so the assist couldn't activate. He had to wait for it to get closer. Wang Hao, are you crazy? Why do you keep spamming that? Jiang Ji grew impatient. In squad mode, just like solo, you couldn't quit early even if you died upon landing. You had to wait until the match concluded. So Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing were stuck in the game, watching Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er play. Don't tell me you're actually thinking of fighting them. Hong Lishing said. That's a sedan, likely a full squad of 4. If I were you, I'd pray it just passes by. Otherwise you two will soon join us here. Wang Hao, I think he's got a point. Let's observe for a bit, Zhuang Shui'er couldn't help but say. I know what I'm doing, Wang Hao replied. Zhuang Shui'er felt a slight relief upon hearing that. But just then a low muffled sound rang out, bang. Zhuang Shui'er froze instantly. That was a gunshot, and it came from Wang Hao's direction. He fired. Didn't he just say he knew what he was doing? Why would he suddenly shoot? Zhuang Shui'er was at a loss. Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing, however, were thrilled. They saw that after the gunshot, the sedan that was about to pass by and move away suddenly changed course, heading straight toward them. Wang Hao, I gotta admit, that shot was perfectly timed. You could have avoided death, but now you're doomed. Huh? Jiang Ji didn't hide his glee. Zhuang Shui'er, I told you sticking with him will get you killed. Get ready to lose a ton of points, Hong Lishing said with schadenfreude. Though dying now wasn't as bad as dying on landing, it was still early. Only the second circle had just appeared. Being eliminated at this stage would cost a significant number of points. Seeing that Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er were about to suffer a big point loss, the frustration Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing felt from their own early deaths was instantly relieved. Wang, how did you misfire? Zhuang Shui'er asked, snapping out of her shock. What if I said it was intentional? Wang Hao replied calmly. Intentional? Zhuang Shui'er couldn't understand. Intentional? You're not thinking of taking them all out, are you? Jiang Ji laughed. Why not? Wang Hao had indeed fired on purpose. He noticed the vehicle was just passing by, and it was about to come within 100 meters, but then it started moving away. To lure it back, he fired. Keep bluffing. Let's see how you... Bang. Before Hong Lishing could finish his die word, Wang Hao fired again. Your teammate Wang Hao knocked down player Li San with the AR-98. In the distance, the sedan's speed suddenly dropped as the driver was taken out by Wang Hao's shot. Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing, in their spectral state, widened their eyes almost simultaneously. Hong Lishing's die never made it out. Lucky shot. Jiang Ji muttered after recovering. Bang. Another muffled sound rang out. The AR-98, without a suppressor, had a loud report. Your teammate Wang Hao knocked down player Sha Jun with the AR-98. Another one. 2 shots, 2 knockouts. Was it sheer luck or exceptional sniping skill? Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing were speechless, their minds racing with doubt. Don't just stand there, finish them off, Wang Hao reminded Zhuang Shui'er over the team channel. Alright, okay. Zhuang Shui'er snapped back, feeling a bit embarrassed. She was usually quick, but she had just acted like a novice. Then again, she couldn't blame herself. Wang Hao's sniping was just that impressive. By the time Wang Hao downed the second player, the sedan had come to a complete halt. The 2 remaining players jumped out of the vehicle and immediately deployed smoke grenades. Save me. Please save me. Li San crawled on his knees, desperately crying out for help. I see him. He's on the rooftop of the tallest dormitory building. Wu Jin, one of the surviving squad members, declared with unshakable confidence. Lin Zi, you go rescue him. He'll take care of that sniper. With that, Wu Jin pulled out the AWM strapped to his back, an airdrop sniper rifle. As a marksman's weapon, its power dwarfed that of the Kar 98K. It could shatter even a level 3 helmet with a single shot. Before passing the research institute, they had looted an airdrop that contained the AWM and an 8x scope. Be careful. That guy's aim is deadly, Lin Zi warned Wu Jin while tending to the downed teammate. My aim isn't half bad either, Wu Jin replied, his arrogance undiminished. As he spoke, he peeked half his head out from the smoke, raised his rifle, and began to line up a shot on Wang Hao. But in the next instant, a dull thud echoed through the air. Wu Jin was sent flying backward, and the moment he hit the ground, he collapsed to his knees, clutching his stomach. Damn it. I've been downed. Help me. Help me now. The confidence that had filled Wu Jin moments before evaporated into sheer panic. Rat-a-tat-tat. No sooner had Wu Jin spoken than bullets rained down upon him like a torrential storm. Though many shots missed their mark, a significant number found their target. His health bar plummeted to 0 in an instant. Zhuang Shui'er. It was Zhuang Shui'er who had finished him off. As for the one who downed him, that was naturally Wang Hao. The two worked in perfect tandem, one to down, one to eliminate. Wu Jin had merely exposed half his head, and just like that he was out of the match. What the hell? The eliminated Wu Jin couldn't help but curse. It had all happened so fast that he didn't even have time to react before he was gone. Lin Zi, watch out. That guy's a pro, Wu Jin warned. As if I needed you to tell me that. Lin Zi muttered inwardly, but his hands never paused in the rescue. The smoke screen would buy him precious time. Bang! Another gunshot rang out. Li San, who had been on the verge of being revived, was instantly turned into a loot box. What the hell? He can hit that shot. The now-boxed Li San was utterly speechless. Though Lin Zi was equally astounded by the enemy's sniping prowess, this was clearly not the time for such thoughts. With Li San eliminated, only he and Sha Jun remained in the squad. He had to go revive Sha Jun immediately. As the rescue progress bar inched forward, an inexplicable sense of dread gnawed at Lin Zi's heart. Sure enough, with yet another crack of gunfire, Sha Jun, still kneeling on the ground, was struck. His health bar was wiped out in an instant. What the hell? This time, all 4 squad members cried out in near unison. Is that guy cheating? How can he land those shots? And 2 headshots on 2 different people. Wu Jin's face was a mask of utter disbelief. Lin Zi was equally dumbfounded. Was he rescuing his teammates or sending them to their graves? How was it that every person he tried to save ended up dead? However, Lin Zi had no time to dwell on the fate of the others. He had to figure out his own next move. As the sole survivor of his squad, he was inevitably the next target. Though the smoke had yet to dissipate, it offered him little comfort or sense of security. Run. That was the only thought racing through Lin Zi's mind. The enemy's sniping had utterly shattered his nerve. He lacked the courage to stay, let alone to charge headfirst at the opponent. Bang! Just as Lin Zi used the smoke as cover to reach the vehicle, a bullet tore through the air and struck him. Fortunately, he was wearing level 3 armor. Though the armor turned red from the impact, and his health plummeted by more than half, he was by sheer luck not eliminated. That shot only steeled Lin Zi's resolve to flee. Trying to run, Wang Hao muttered under his breath as he pulled back the bolt of his rifle, watching the car emerge from the smoke. What Lin Zi and his squad never realized was that the very smoke they thought would shield and protect them had in fact invisibly constrained their movements and played right into Wang Hao's hands. The auto-aim function had its range limitations. It could only lock onto targets within a 5-meter radius. While the smoke obscured Wang Hao's vision, it also concealed the whereabouts of Lin Zi and his teammates. All Wang Hao needed to do was fire into the center of the smoke cloud, and he was bound to hit someone inside. As for who exactly got hit, that was a matter of luck. The fact that Lin Zi had survived this long was a testament to his good fortune. However, his streak of luck was clearly about to run out. Bang! Another gunshot rang out as Wang Hao pulled the trigger once more. Lin Zi, in the midst of his frantic escape, was struck. He tumbled from the driver's seat, his body transforming into a glowing red loot box. A total wipeout. All 8 remaining players on the field were stunned into silence, save for Wang Hao himself. Armed with nothing but a single sniper rifle, he had single-handedly annihilated an entire fully equipped squad. Though Zhuang Shuer had also fired her weapon without the aid of wall hacks or auto-aim, penetrating the smoke to hit an enemy was no easy feat. Had Wu Jin not arrogantly exposed his position, she might not have even earned an assist. Even so, her contribution to this engagement was extremely limited. It was no exaggeration to say that Wang Hao with 1 rifle had wiped out an entire squad by himself. Wang Hao, how are you so accurate with a sniper rifle? Zhuang Shuer exclaimed in astonishment. This was the most impressive sniping she had ever witnessed. Even with the smoke obscuring his view, Wang Hao hit his mark with every single shot. It's nothing special, Wang Hao replied casually. Show off. That was pure dumb luck, Jiang Ji muttered under his breath. Yet anyone could hear the sour grapes and unease laced within his words. Dumb luck. If he had downed just 1, perhaps it could be chalked up to luck. But Wang Hao had downed 4. Those 4 kills were either hidden within the smoke or inside a moving vehicle. Under such circumstances, taking down 4 opponents could never be dismissed as mere luck. Is it really that hard to admit someone else is just better? Zhuang Shuer retorted. Jiang Ji was left feeling rather embarrassed, silently cursing Wang Hao and Zhuang Shuer, wishing they'd get eliminated soon. Zhuang Shuer didn't bother wasting more words on them. After scanning the surrounding area, she jumped down to the ground and made a beeline for the 4 loot boxes. What are you doing? Wang Hao asked. Looting, Zhuang Shuer replied. Wang Hao. Sure enough, no female player could resist the allure of looting. Even if they lacked for nothing, the sight of a loot box was simply irresistible. Wang Hao cradled his sniper rifle, remaining prone on the rooftop, keeping a vigilant watch over the surroundings. He showed no intention of joining her. Level 3 armor. And a level 3 helmet, though this one's already red. A Groza? Hee, I love the Groza. These guys were seriously loaded. They even have an AWM. Zhuang Shuer gasped in delight as she looted. Amidst such abundant riches, her usual demure demeanor had completely vanished. Initially, Wang Hao remained unmoved. Even when he heard about the Groza, an airdrop exclusive weapon, his heart didn't stir. He even thought Zhuang Shuer's reaction was a bit over the top. But the moment Wang Hao heard there was an AWM in the box, his composure shattered. The AWM. I called it. Wang Hao lay on the rooftop of the dormitory building, caressing the dark green AWM in his hands, his eyes filled with pure affection. The AWM, the most powerful bolt-action sniper rifle in the Battle Royale game, boasted devastating damage that could even bypass a level 3 helmet, far surpassing the 98K. Its only drawbacks were that it could only be obtained from airdrop crates and had limited ammunition. In the virtual battlefield, it was also a sniper rifle of immense power. After Wang Hao expressed his desire for the AWM, Zhuang Shui'er tactfully refrained from picking it up. The recent battle had proven Wang Hao's skill. The AWM in his hands could achieve far greater value. Now that they were in a team, his performance would naturally benefit her as well. Classmate Jiang Ji, classmate Hong Lishing, how did you find that sniper shot of mine just now? With nothing better to do, Wang Hao decided to taunt Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing. I recall someone saying we were doomed, but the outcome seems different from what certain people imagined. Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing naturally knew Wang Hao was referring to them. They were quite embarrassed. Both had believed Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er were dead for sure, but what they hadn't expected was that it wasn't Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er who were eliminated, but the full squad that had driven by. A bunch of incompetents. For couldn't beat two. No, Zhuang Shui'er barely did anything. It was 4 against 1. Truly useless. Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing cursed the full squad repeatedly in their minds. Just a stroke of luck, Jiang Ji said, stubbornly refusing to acknowledge Wang Hao's skill. That squad was definitely a bunch of newbies. You killed a team of bots, and now you're so cocky. Wait until you face real experts. You won't even know how you died. Exactly, I could have taken out all 4 too. What's the big deal? Hong Lishing chimed in. Yet despite their words, their tone lacked confidence. That squad was definitely not bots. They were real players. If it had been them, achieving what Wang Hao had done would have been extremely difficult, if not impossible. However, in front of Wang Hao, an underachiever from the regular class, they couldn't afford to show weakness. They were top students from the advanced class. Top students naturally had to maintain their pride. Still so stubborn, Wang Hao said with a faint smile. Afterward, Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er stayed on the graduate dormitory rooftop, sniping at players passing by. Wang Hao's setup was simple: an AWM and a 98K, both long-range weapons with damage surpassing that of standard rifles. The S686 he had carried earlier was left on the ground beside him. With 2 sniper rifles, Wang Hao struck fear into every team that passed near the research institute. If they left directly, they were fine, but if they dared to attack him and Zhuang Shui'er, the result was inevitable annihilation. His 2 high-damage sniper rifles combined with the auto-aim assist achieved nearly perfect accuracy within 100 meters. A single hit would either reduce the target's health by more than half or knock them out instantly. Zhuang Shui'er performed equally well. After the initial shock, she eased into the rhythm, coordinating with Wang Hao to snipe passing players. She used 2 rifles instead of a sniper, and Wang Hao noticed that her recoil control was more than twice as good as his. No wonder she consistently ranked among the top 3 in her grade. Her skill was not to be underestimated. Under their combined efforts, the dormitory building of the research institute became a no-go zone. Any player who passed by would either die or be severely wounded. Finally, after the 4th circle appeared, Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er had no choice but to leave the research institute dormitory. It wasn't that they wanted to leave, but the 4th circle had placed the dormitory outside the safe zone. Wang Hao, where should we go? After their cooperation, Zhuang Shui'er had fully acknowledged Wang Hao's skill. Unlike Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing, who had harbored prejudice from the start, she had no bias against him. Quite the opposite, she was full of curiosity. After the battle, she was utterly impressed by his sniper skills. Therefore, before moving, Zhuang Shui'er instinctively sought Wang Hao's opinion. Wang Hao glanced at the map and said, "Let's go to P City." P City was within the safe zone, and the next circle would likely also be inside it. Wang Hao intended to secure a position early. Okay. There was a buggy on the road not far from the dormitory. The 2 drove the buggy straight to P City. In the team channel, only Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er were communicating. Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing were as silent as if they had disconnected, uttering not a single word. They weren't actually disconnected. They simply didn't dare or know what to say. In fact, they wished Wang Hao would forget they existed. 16. From the start of the match, Wang Hao had already eliminated 16 players, all with his sniper rifle. Not a single one had managed to reach the foot of the dormitory building. Even Zhuang Shui'er had killed 5 during the process. The 2 had become the deadly duo of the virtual battlefield. At first, Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing could still insist that Wang Hao's kills were just newbies or bots. But now such words were unspeakable, especially after witnessing the entire ordeal and seeing the brutality of Wang Hao sniping. They dared not utter a word, terrified that Wang Hao would remember they were still in the team and mock them. The buggy reached P City without any incidents. P City was another hotspot for intense firefights. With its numerous buildings, each containing lootable supplies, it could sustain 2 or even 3 full squads. Of course, besides lootable supplies, every building could also harbor other players. It was also one of the best places for camper players to thrive. Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er had sniped multiple players from the dormitory rooftop. Looting their crates had fully equipped them. Since they lacked nothing, they chose a building in P City to secure a position. However, just as Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er entered the 1st floor, they heard footsteps from upstairs. Someone was there. They exchanged glances, and Zhuang Shui'er's eyes asked, should we attack the building or switch to another? Attacking the building was risky as defenders had the natural advantage, but if they succeeded they would gain more kills. Switching buildings was the safer conservative choice. Peace City never lacked buildings. Fight, Wang Hao said in a low voice. You take the lead, Wang Hao said to Zhuang Shui'er. Zhuang Shui'er was momentarily taken aback upon. Rushing a building is extremely dangerous. The one charging ahead would inevitably become the primary target of the defenders. Was Wang Hao planning to use her as bait to draw their fire? Don't worry, as long as I'm here, even if you get knocked down they won't have a chance to finish you off, Wang Hao assured her. Zhuang Shui'er, don't go. He's deliberately sending you to your death. Exactly. He'll definitely sell you out later. Don't trust him. He's the one who wanted to attack the building. Let him take the lead. Jiang Ji and Hong Lisheng, who had been struggling to find a way to speak up, finally seized the opportunity to sow discord between Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er. Wang Hao didn't bother to explain. He simply looked at Zhuang Shui'er, waiting for her decision. Ignoring Jiang Ji and Hong Lisheng entirely, she held his gaze for a moment and nodded in agreement. All right. Without a second thought, Zhuang Shui'er charged ahead. Wang Hao followed closely behind, his S686 shotgun at the ready. In this kind of close-quarters environment, a shotgun was far more practical than a sniper rifle. Rat-a-tat. The moment Zhuang Shui'er reached the top of the stairs, bullets came screaming toward her. There were indeed enemies on the second floor, 2 of them. One was positioned directly facing the stairwell, while the other lurked in a corner nearby. They had set up a simple crossfire, their muzzles trained on the staircase entrance. Zhuang Shui'er, being the first to rush, and lost over half her health in an instant. Panicking, she hastily returned fire, but her shaky aim caused most of her shots to hit nothing but air. This is it. Wang Hao, do something. Bang. The S686's distinctive thunderous roar echoed through the room. Zhuang Shui'er watched as the enemy player across from her was sent flying backward, his level 2 helmet shattering into fragments upon impact. Rat-a-tat. The player in the corner, though stunned by his comrade's fall, didn't stop firing. His A-47 spat flames as a barrage of bullets tore towards Zhuang Shui'er. You have been knocked down by player Shen Biao using an A-47. Zhuang Shui'er's health hit 0, and she collapsed to her knees, clutching her stomach. Help! Bang! Just as she was about to call for help, the S686 roared once more. The deafening blast was so close that it left Zhuang Shui'er with a temporary ringing in her ears. Your teammate Wang Hao killed Lu Shi with an S686. Your teammate Wang Hao killed Shen Biao with an S686. A double kill. In the blink of an eye, the 2 players upstairs had turned into glowing red loot crates. Wang Hao didn't rush to loot them. Instead, he bent down to revive Zhuang Shui'er. I told you I wouldn't give them the chance to finish you off, Wang Hao said with a smile. Zhuang Shui'er replied, nodding as she healed herself. Wang Hao, I didn't expect you to be this good with a shotgun too. There's a saying in the virtual battlefield, before a shotgun, all are equal. No matter what gear you have, a single hit from a shotgun is almost always a one-shot knockout. That's the sheer power of a shotgun. But shotguns usually have very small magazines. Take the S686, for instance. It holds only 2 shells and takes 3 seconds to reload. If those 2 shots fail to bring down the target, you're highly vulnerable to being reversed and killed. Therefore, despite their immense power, few players use shotguns. To most, a shotgun is no different from a useless stick. Newbies wouldn't even touch one. Only true experts dare to wield them. Earlier, when Zhuang Shui'er and the others saw Wang Hao choose the S686 as his primary weapon, they were all skeptical. Jiang Ji and Hong Lisheng in particular had mocked him relentlessly. But now, having witnessed his mastery firsthand, none of them dared to question him any further. After replenishing their supplies and health, the 2 of them held their position inside the room, choosing not to venture out. It wasn't that they didn't want to hunt for more kills, but Peace City was filled with countless buildings, and camper players were absolutely everywhere. You never knew which room had one lying in wait. They hadn't been ambushed earlier only because the 2 players upstairs had given away their position with their footsteps first. Otherwise, the odds of them getting caught off guard were extremely high. Virtual Battlefield differs from other games. While high-ranked players are generally stronger overall, that doesn't mean low-ranked players can never defeat them. Upsets happen all the time. The common tactics low-ranked players use to achieve such upsets are camping and ganging up. Facing these situations, especially the former, even the highest ranked and most skilled players often find themselves caught off guard. Without the aid of a wall hack or similar advantage, Wang Hao didn't dare to recklessly roam around Peace City. Ever since Wang Hao and his team entered Peace City, the gunfire in the area had barely ceased. Yet Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er remained completely unfazed, calmly playing the role of observers. As Wang Hao had predicted, the next safe zone also landed on Peace City, meaning they didn't need to relocate. Boom, boom, boom. Shortly after the safe zone refreshed, the sound of a vehicle engine rumbled outside their building. The roar grew louder, finally stopping right outside their door. Then Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er heard footsteps. You've got to be kidding me. Of all the luck. Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er exchanged a glance, both feeling a sense of speechless irony. It was clearly someone rotating into P City. With so many buildings to choose from, they had to pick the very one they were hiding in. Whether that was good luck or bad luck, it was hard to say. Wang Hao and Zhuang Shui'er exchanged another look, already prepared for battle. Their positions mirrored those of the previous two players, but this time they remained utterly silent, embodying the perfect camper strategy. Thud, thud, thud. Two sets of footsteps echoed from downstairs. Without a moment's hesitation, after getting out of the vehicle, these two rushed straight up the stairs. Whether it was overconfidence or a complete lack of caution, they were walking right into a trap. Bang! The moment the first player's head appeared at the top of the stairs, Wang Hao's shotgun roared. The player dropped instantly. His companion behind him, caught completely off guard, continued charging up by sheer momentum. Rat-a-tat. The distinctive sound of an M416 rang out. The player's body jerked violently as bullets riddled him. His health quickly drained to zero, and he joined his comrade as a loot crate meeting his end. Yes. Zhuang Shui'er let out a cheer, clearly delighted. It's not like it's your first kill. Why? Wang Hao asked. You have no idea how hard it is to steal a kill from you, Zhuang Shui'er said. But honestly, actually managing to get one is so satisfying. Wang Hao was exceptionally skilled with both sniper rifles and shotguns. Zhuang Shui'er was no slouch herself, but next to him, she felt like a complete novice. Every kill she managed was a hard-earned prize. It seems I've been holding you back, Wang Hao said. No, not at all, Zhuang Shui'er quickly replied. Being able to team up with you is a privilege for me. Zhuang Shui'er was undeniably skilled, and like many of her caliber, she harbored a quiet pride, rarely deeming others worthy of her attention. Yet Wang Hao had conquered her with sheer prowess, earning her complete and genuine admiration. Her words were not hollow flattery, but a sincere sentiment from the depths of her heart. Teaming up with Wang Hao meant she might rarely secure the final blow herself, but having such a formidable ally greatly increased the squad's overall survival odds. This held true, of course, only when they stayed together, unlike the solo ventures of Jiang Ji and Hong Lishing. Surviving longer not only secured survival bonuses, but also provided more opportunities and time to eliminate other players. In this very match, for instance, while it was tough to snatch kills from Wang Hao, facing a larger number of opponents increased her chances. She had already secured 6 eliminations, nearly matching her usual tally, and the match was far from over. And should they clinch the championship, the rewards would be substantial. In short, teaming with an expert was unequivocally superior to partnering with a novice. The 5th circle began to shrink soon after, and upon its closure the 6th circle emerged. The bad news was that the zone had shifted north away from P City, placing the new safe zone on the plains adjacent to it. The good news was that the edge of the circle was very close to their position. Let's hold off on moving in for now. Well, enter when the zone starts shrinking, Wang Hao said, pulling out his sniper rifle and scanning the plains outside the window. All right. Zhuang Shui'er also readied her weapon, observing the plains. Soon a figure appeared in their sight, holstering their gun and making a beeline for the zone. No smoke cover, no vehicle. Were they attempting a raw push? Facing such an unexpected gift, neither Wang Hao nor Zhuang Shui'er hesitated to take advantage. Bang! Rat-a-tat-tat. The reports of the Kar 98K and M416 rang out almost simultaneously, and the player in their sights turned into a loot box in an instant. Your teammate, Zhuang Shui'er, eliminated player Yin Duan with the M416. Wang Hao glanced at Zhuang Shui'er and saw her beaming with delight. Wang Hao's shot had been accurate, striking the target, but it hit the body, failing to deliver a lethal blow. The Kar 98K's lengthy reload time meant that by the time he chambered another round, the target had already been finished off by Zhuang Shui'er. Equipped with an extended mag, the M416 held a full 40 rounds, providing Zhuang Shui'er with ample firepower to secure the elimination. Despite missing out on the kill, Wang Hao harbored no resentment. It was a matter of individual skill, and if Zhuang Shui'er claimed the kill, it was due to her marksmanship. He had no grounds for complaint. After they jointly took down that player, 2 more emerged in their field of view. These 2 were also attempting a raw push, but they were more cautious, deploying smoke grenades as they advanced. Bang! Wang Hao's sniper rifle barked immediately. Smoke proved to be of little hindrance to him. With the aid of his auto-aim assistance, he simply needed to fire into the haze. Rat-a-tat-tat. Zhuang Shui'er fired almost concurrently. However, lacking auto-aim or any form of X-ray vision, she could only spray wildly into the smoke, hoping for a lucky hit. You knocked down player Zheng Lin with the Kar 98K. Wang Hao downed one of them with his second shot. Your teammate, Zhuang Shui'er, eliminated player Li Shui with the M416. Shortly after Wang Hao's knockdown, Zhuang Shui'er made her mark. Her luck seemed almost supernatural. Despite having no visual, her blind, frantic spray managed to down the other player, transforming Wang Hao's knockdown into a confirmed elimination. Within a brief span, they had eliminated 3 players together. Yet this was merely the beginning, not the end. This match had an unusually high number of players opting to camp and play defensively. Even as the final circles approached, a surprising 15 players remained. Most had been hiding within P City, leaving them without vehicles. To make it into the zone, they were forced into raw pushes across the open plains, presenting perfect opportunities for the lurking Wang, Hao, and Zhuang Shuer. With one wielding a sniper and the other a rifle, they worked in tandem, systematically picking off targets within their sight. By the time the toxic zone reached their position, Wang Hao's kill count had soared to 27, with Zhuang Shuer close behind at 12. Calling them the Black and White Reapers of the virtual battlefield was hardly an exaggeration. Wang Hao, should we move into the zone now? Zhuang Shuer asked, a note of tension in her voice. The sixth circle's toxicity was already potent, delaying their entry would prove fatal. All right, Wang Hao concurred. However, just as they descended from the building, an unexpected turn of events unfolded. Rat-a-tat-tat. Gunfire erupted from a distance, bullets streaming toward them. Despite their quick deployment of smoke cover, the unlucky Zhuang Shuer was struck down. They were pinned down. It was clear that other players had spotted them long ago and had been lying in wait for them to leave cover. While Wang Hao and Zhuang Shuer were busy hunting those running from the zone, they had failed to notice that they too had become prey in someone else's sights. Wang Hao, leave her. Get into the zone now. The toxic circle is closing in. There are only 5 people left. Our chances of winning this are high. Winning grants 10 exchange points and an airdrop crate. The moment Zhuang Shuer hit the ground, Jiang Ji and Hong Lushing spoke up almost simultaneously. This time, they weren't mocking Wang Hao, but urging him to abandon his downed teammate and enter the zone himself, feigning concern for his well-being. In reality, their motives were purely self-serving. Their own match had already ended in an early feudal death, resulting in substantial point deductions and 0 exchange points. Their only hope for any reward lay in Wang Hao and Zhuang Shuer securing the championship. A victory would grant them a free 10 exchange points and a chance to open the airdrop crate, offering some consolation for their disastrous performance. Despite their lingering disdain for Wang Hao, they had to acknowledge his impressive performance this round. With so few opponents remaining, his chances of winning were high if he could safely reach the zone. However, defying their expectations, Wang Hao chose not to run. Instead, he crouched down to revive his teammate. Wang Hao, don't bother. There's no time. You'll die too if you stay. Get to the zone. Why are you saving her at a time like this? You stand a great chance of winning on your own. Wang Hao's actions threw Jiang Ji and Hong Lushing into a state of frantic desperation. Securing a chicken dinner is a formidable challenge for many, particularly at higher ranks. Even the most skilled players often find victory elusive, sometimes going days without a single win. This is because triumph in this arena demands not only exceptional personal prowess, but also a significant measure of luck. Although Jiang Ji and Hong Lushing were not weak players, a chicken dinner was hardly a routine occurrence for them either. They might only clinch a victory by sheer luck every few days. Thus, upon seeing a glimmer of hope for a win, Wang Hao's actions filled them with intense anxiety. Wang Hao, you should go on ahead. If you stay to save me, we'll both die here. Zhuang Shuer, he finally spoke up. Zhuang Shuer was deeply moved that Wang Hao hadn't abandoned her. In the virtual battlefield, abandoning or even betraying teammates was a common occurrence, especially among players who had only temporarily teamed up, as they often looked out only for themselves, disregarding their comrades' fates. The fact that Wang Hao chose to stay and rescue her under such circumstances truly touched Zhuang Shuer. However, this was clearly not a rational decision. Staying to save her in this situation would likely make it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for Wang Hao to make it back into the safe zone alive. It's fine, Wang Hao said nonchalantly. Wang Hao, hurry up. The toxic zone is coming. Get into the circle, now, there's no time. Jiang Ji and Hong Lushing continued to urge Wang Hao frantically. Yet Wang Hao remained unmoved. The toxic zone closed in rapidly, soon sweeping past both Wang Hao and Zhuang Shuer. Their signal values began to dwindle, and to make matters worse, the enemy players who had them pinned down continued to fire relentlessly at them. Rat-a-tat-tat. Bullets flew in like a torrential downpour. Even with the cover of smoke, Wang Hao and Zhuang Shuer were still struck by a stray bullet from time to time. Watching Wang Hao's health and signal value plummet, Jiang Ji and Hong Lushing were on the verge of madness. They couldn't fathom what had gotten into Wang Hao. Why wasn't he entering the safe zone? Wasn't he just waiting to die by staying there? Finally, their worst fear materialized just as Wang Hao was about to revive Zhuang Shuer. He was hit consecutively, his health bar was depleted, and in an instant he turned into a supply box alongside her. Match over. Team ranking 3rd. Because 2 other squads were still battling in the final circle, the match wasn't over. Thus, Wang Hao's team wasn't teleported back to the real world. Instead, they seemed to be suspended high above, overlooking the entire virtual battlefield. However, with no teammates alive, they could only see the full view of the battlefield, not the actions of the remaining players. This was the first time Wang Hao had experienced the virtual battlefield from this perspective. From this high vantage point, the entire arena was clearly visible. While Wang Hao leisurely observed the panoramic view, Jiang Ji and Hong Lushing erupted in furious curses. Wang Hao, you idiot. You actually stayed to save her in that situation. Are you out of your mind? You refuse to admit you're a noob. Think you're special just because you can shoot a bit. Let me tell you, you're far from. We had that match in the bag and you managed to throw it away. You're useless. The two were clearly enraged by Wang Hao's final actions. They had been on the verge of securing 10 exchange points and the airdrop supplies only to have it slip away. How could they possibly remain calm? You two have the nerve to argue. You died upon landing. Who's the real deadweight here? You didn't get a single kill all match, and yet you dare call Wang Hao, who killed 27 enemies, a noob. Where's your shame? How do you have the face to say such things? If I were you, I'd just go bang my head against a wall. Before Wang Hao could respond, Zhuang Shui'er retorted sharply on his behalf, her words biting and merciless. Wang Hao, who had been about to refute them, decided against it. Arguing with people like Jiang Ji and Hong Leshing was a waste of his breath and utterly pointless. About a dozen seconds later, the four of them were teleported back to the principal's office. Seeing the four reappear, Guanling greeted them with a beaming smile. But upon noticing the grim expressions on Jiang Ji's, Hong Leshing's, and Zhuang Shui'er's faces, his smile froze. What's the matter? Lose points. It was evident from their expressions that the match hadn't gone well. Strangely, Wang Hao's demeanor remained unchanged. Principal, I have something to attend to. He'll head off first. With that, Jiang Ji left with a gloomy face. Principal, will be going too. Hong Leshing followed suit. Their attitude displeased Guanling greatly. He inwardly wondered if he had been too lenient with them, causing them to forget their place. Student Zhuang, what's gotten into those two? Guanling asked, turning to Zhuang Shui'er. They were too ashamed to stay any longer. Zhuang Shui'er said with a hint of schadenfreude. In the last match, they were eliminated right after landing. Although they hadn't secured a chicken dinner, Zhuang Shui'er was in a relatively good mood. She had earned 18 exchange points in that match, exceeding her usual average. Eliminated upon landing. Guanling was startled. No wonder their expressions were so sour. What about you two? Us. Zhuang Shui'er glanced at Wang Hao before replying. We made it to the final circle. Wang Hao got 27 kills, and I got 12. That many. Guanling was stunned once more. Then his shock transformed into a beaming smile. Excellent. Well done, Wang Hao. There are still 2 weeks left. Keep up the good work. I will. Wang Hao nodded. Afterwards, Guanling offered a few more words of encouragement to the two before letting. Why didn't you abandon me back in the game? As soon as they left the principal's office, Zhuang Shi eagerly asked Wang Hao, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Wang Hao instinctively avoided her overly intense gaze. I just didn't want them to win. Win? It means getting the champion title. But by doing that, you also gave up the final exchange points reward and the airdrop crate, didn't you? Zhuang Shui'er was clearly skeptical. I don't mind, Wang Hao said casually. With the assistance of his helper, Wang Hao genuinely didn't care about the outcome of a single match. For him, securing a chicken dinner wasn't particularly difficult. While he couldn't guarantee a victory every single time, his probability of winning was certainly much higher than most others. You don't mind? Zhuang Shui'er was clearly unconvinced. She knew exactly how important exchange points were, and she knew even better how rare airdrop crates were. Even the top-tier experts she knew wouldn't dare say that winning or losing didn't matter. The difference between winning and losing was immense, affecting not only exchange points and airdrops, but also stats like average damage and DPS. Could Wang Hao truly be so indifferent? Zhuang Shui'er didn't believe it. I might have something to do. I'll be going now. Zhuang Shui'er's gaze made Wang Hao feel a sense of fear. I just saved her once. Why does she look at me so frighteningly? Wang Hao thought to himself. Wait. Zhuang Shui'er called out to him, then walked around to stand in front of him, asking, have you done your duo queue today? Not yet. Me neither. Zhuang Shui'er's eyes lit up. How about we team up? To her surprise, Wang Hao shook his head and refused. No thanks, I already have a teammate. You just turned 18, where did you get a teammate? Obviously, Zhuang Shui'er didn't believe him. She wasn't so easy. However, this time Wang Hao wasn't lying. It's true, I just turned 18, but that doesn't stop me from finding a teammate in advance, does it? This situation did exist. Many people would agree on teammates before entering the virtual battlefield. However, this kind of teaming wasn't very effective because no one knew how they or their teammates would perform once inside. Some had high talent, some had low talent, and battlefield performance varied. Over short periods it was fine, but over time such teams were prone to internal conflict. After all, the virtual battlefield was no ordinary game. It affected the real lives of every participant, who didn't hope to improve their life or even their social status through the virtual battlefield. Therefore, no one was willing to carry a burden into the virtual battlefield for long. Who's your teammate? A classmate. My skills aren't worse than your classmates, right? How about considering switch? Zhuang Shui'er clearly didn't want to give up. Although she had only played one game with Wang Hao, his skill had already earned her sincere admiration. Everyone knew the benefits of teaming up with an expert, and now that she had encountered one, Zhuang Shu, and naturally wasn't willing to let go. More importantly, Wang Hao was even younger than her. Displaying such high talent at such a young age meant his future was bound to be limitless. My teammate isn't my classmate. Stop guessing. I'm not considering switching. Alright, I'm off now. With that, Wang Hao turned and left, not giving Zhuang Shui'er another chance to speak. Zhuang Shui'er watched his retreating figure, clenched her small fist, and murmured to herself, "Wang Hao, I'm not giving up." Wang Hao, of course, was unaware that Zhuang Shui'er had set her sights on him. After parting ways, he returned to his classroom. Wang Hao is back. Someone shouted, and all of Class 12 turned to look at the doors simultaneously. Wang Hao, how did you manage to get 30 kills? Wang Hao, you scored first in the school on this mock exam. That's amazing. Wang Hao, you've really brought honor to Class 12 this time. You should have seen Teacher Ding's smile blooming like a dogtail. Wang Hao. The students of Class 12 quickly surrounded him, each one buzzing with excitement, as if they were the ones who had gotten the 30 kills, not Wang Hao. Son Deming, who did you say has a smile like a dogtail flower? Just as Wang Hao was struggling to cope with the overly enthusiastic classmates around him, Ding Yuning's voice rang out. Instantly, the students surrounding Wang Hao scattered like birds and beasts. Ding Yuning shot a fierce glare at Son Deming, who had just spoken ill of her, then replaced it with a beaming smile as she walked up to Wang Hao. Student Wang Hao, I've placed your boxed lunches in the trunk of my car. After school, will help you take them home. Such precious things shouldn't be left lying around carelessly. Ding Yuning had already learned from Guan Ling that in the quad game, Wang Hao had scored 27 kills. Although they hadn't won the championship, that kill count was enough to dazzle anyone and further confirmed Wang Hao's genius status. Wang Hao's standing in Ding Yuning's eyes had risen even higher. However, Wang Hao was somewhat bewildered at the moment. Precious. They were just boxed lunches, how precious could they be? But Wang Hao quickly realized that he was no longer on Earth, but in another time and space. This era was in the throes of an apocalypse where all resources had become extremely precious, including rice, fresh vegetables, and fruits. Ordinary people normally consumed synthetic paste, which merely filled the stomach to prevent starvation, but tasted awful, sometimes almost unpalatable. Items like white rice, fresh vegetables, and fruits were exorbitantly priced, and most people simply couldn't afford them. Looking at it that way, my luck isn't too bad to have drawn 100 boxed lunches, Wang Hao muttered to himself. Thank you, Teacher Ding. Wang Hao said. 100 boxed lunches were quite heavy. Carrying them all back by himself would have been a real hassle. It's nothing. Ding Yuning smiled even more brightly. The more she looked at Wang Hao now, the more satisfied she felt. Why hadn't she noticed before how handsome and adorable he was? By the way, have you done your duo Q today? Ding Yuning remembered Guan Ling's instructions and quickly asked, if you haven't, I can arrange a teammate for you. They could be from our class or another class. You can choose anyone and he'll coordinate it. If I can't, the principal can step in. As soon as Ding Yuning finished speaking, all the students in Class 12 looked at Wang Hao with burning intensity. Who wouldn't want to team up with an expert? Wang Hao was undoubtedly the strongest in their class. No need, I have my own teammate. Wang Hao refused. Is that so? How skilled is your teammate? Ding Yuning clearly had some concerns. Student Wang Hao, you know the college entrance exam is only about 2 weeks away. You're young and entered the virtual battlefield late, so every game is crucial for you. If your teammate isn't strong enough, it could affect your exam results. Ding Yuning couldn't help but worry. On one hand, she genuinely cared about Wang Hao, fearing he might choose poorly and hinder his own performance. On the other hand, Wang Hao was now a key student in her class. Whether Class 12 could perform well in the exam hinged significantly on his performance. His success or failure also had a major impact on her. Don't worry, Teacher Ding, I know what I'm doing, Wang Hao said. Let me play a match first and see how it goes. If the team dynamic doesn't work out, it'll trouble you to arrange a new teammate tomorrow. Alright, that works too. Ding Yuning thought for a moment, found his reasoning sound, and didn't press further. The students in the class, upon hearing his response, felt quite disappointed. After school, Ding Yuning personally drove Wang Hao home, saving him the taxi fare. Before leaving, she didn't forget to transfer him 10 exchange points to cover the cost of the duo queue. Zone 38. This was the district where Wang Hao resided. Most of the houses here were low and dilapidated, and the residents who walked among them were mostly clad in tattered clothes with sallow complexions and gaunt faces. It was one of the city's slums, home to the urban poor. Even in this post-apocalyptic era, a disparity between rich and poor persisted among the surviving humans. The wealthy dwelled in high-rise buildings with formidable defenses and savored delicious food, while the poor could only inhabit crumbling slums and subsist on barely palatable synthetic paste. Moreover, the city's slums were all located near the city walls, while the affluent district was at the city's core. Should the city ever be breached by rabid beasts or mutated zombies, the ramshackle homes and inhabitants of the slums would serve as the rich's first line of defense. Clearly, Wang Hao was among the poor. Earlier, when Ding Yuning had escorted him back and saw he lived in Zone 38, she was quite taken aback and immediately offered to apply for a study grant for him. Ding Yuning was well aware of how chaotic the slums could be. The last thing she wanted was for her prized student to meet with an accident before the college entrance examination. Lying on his own bed, staring at the damp, crumbling ceiling, Wang Hao felt a sense of speechless helplessness. His home in this world was far too impoverished. The house was ramshackle, and there wasn't a single coin of savings to his name. Were it not for Su Guanyuan's care, he would surely have become a beggar on the streets. The Su Guanyuan Wang Hao spoke of was his neighbor, and also the teammate he intended to invite for duo matches. Wang Hao's decision to team up with Su Guanyuan wasn't due to the latter's exceptional talent or prowess, but as a way to repay a debt of gratitude. A century ago, humanity had survived by relying on the virtual battlefield, but the crisis was far from over. Outside the city walls, mutated beasts and zombies still roamed, threatening human lives. The food humanity could procure from the virtual battlefield was ultimately limited and dependent on luck. Most people could only sustain themselves by consuming synthetic paste. The primary ingredients of this paste were the meat, bones, and even fur of various beasts. Consequently, many individuals driven by the need for money and survival ventured beyond the city to hunt mutated beasts, a perilous undertaking that claimed countless lives. Years ago, Wang Hao's parents and Su Guanyuan's parents had gone out of the city together to hunt beasts, and none of them ever returned. Thus, Wang Hao and Su Guanyuan both became orphans. Su Guanyuan was 3 years older than Wang Hao. They had played and grown up together since childhood, and after their parents' death, Su Guanyuan had always been the one to take care of Wang Hao. Su Guanyuan's talent in the virtual battlefield was mediocre. Although he had entered it 3 years earlier than Wang Hao, his rank had consistently hovered between Silver 3 and Silver I, struggling to break through. It's important to note that while everyone could enter the virtual battlefield 3 times a day, participation in duo and squad matches required spending exchange points, 10 points per match. Many people couldn't even earn 10 exchange points from a single game, so for them participating in duo or squad matches would mean a net loss. Su Guanyuan was exactly such a person. Over the years, he had mostly participated only in solo matches to accumulate points and exchange currency. Yet even so, his solo rank was not particularly high. With a low rank and modest strength, he naturally couldn't earn much money or many points. Nevertheless, Su Guanyuan never gave up on caring for Wang Hao. He even took on odd jobs to support their livelihood. Since Wang Hao was younger and previously ineligible to enter the virtual battlefield, he had survived all these years largely thanks to Su Guanyuan's support. Therefore, when considering a duo partner, Wang Hao's first thought was Su Guanyuan. Although Su Guanyuan's abilities were average, Wang Hao didn't mind. With his auxiliary function at his disposal, carrying Su Guanyuan wouldn't be a problem. Come to think of it, my impression of Su Guanyuan comes entirely from my own memories. Since arriving in this world, I haven't actually seen him, yet Wang Hao muttered to himself. He had been in this world for less than a day, and at this hour Su Guanyuan should still be at work. Oh right, I haven't checked my personal information yet, he thought. It suddenly occurred to Wang Hao that he had been in this world for most of the day, without ever looking at his own personal. With that in mind, Wang Hao checked his personal information via his wristband. Name Wang Hao, age 18, address Zone 38, Yinguang City, Huaxia. Rank solo bronze v hot-blooded, 1250, duo bronze v hot-blooded, 1200, squad bronze v hot-blooded, 1241. Exchange points 77, affiliated team, none, affiliated legion, none, auxiliary function, none. Huh. After seeing his wristband information, Wang Hao sat up in surprise. Something was off. A new item had appeared in his personal information auxiliary function. Wang Hao had previously understood what the wristband information contained, and had even seen others' wristband data. In their information, there was no such auxiliary function field. Connecting this to the golden finger he had acquired, Wang Hao began to speculate, could it be that this auxiliary function information was exclusive to him? It must be so. Moreover, this auxiliary function couldn't be a temporary one, only permanently owned auxiliary functions would be displayed. The question now was whether others could see this auxiliary function information on his profile. If they could, he would have to find a way to keep it confidential. He had no desire to become a research subject for the powerful and privileged. As for the rest of the information on the wristband, it was all quite normal. Of course, details like name and age were basic. In the rank section, one could tap to enter subpages containing specific data for the solo, duo, and squad modes, such as damage dealt, damage taken, kills, longest survival time, and so on, much like the Battle Royale games on Earth. Once inside the virtual battlefield, one could choose to make this information public or keep it hidden. The choice was entirely up to the individual. As for the team and legion fields further down, those were irrelevant to Wang Hao for now. Of course, only for now. According to regulations, every citizen had a duty to defend their homeland. However, individuals of different ranks were assigned different tasks. Those like Su Guanyuan, lacking strength, talent, and rank, could only join the militia, undergo occasional training, and receive a meager salary. Those who reached the gold rank, however, could enlist in the regular army, also known as the legions, and receive a substantial monthly salary. As for the teams, they represented a special mode of existence. The legions would select top experts to form teams, usually to carry out special or dangerous missions. Of course, individuals could also form their own teams, but the founder must be at the Star Diamond rank or above, and all team members must be at least Platinum rank. Wang Hao, are you back? Su Guanyuan's voice came from outside the room, just as Wang Hao was examining his personal information. I'm back. Wang Hao responded, and Su Guanyuan pushed the door open and walked in. Su Guanyuan stood about 1.8 meters tall, his face etched with the traces of wind and hardship. Though he was only 3 years older than Wang Hao, years of grueling manual labor made him look considerably older than his actual age. I landed a job today digging a swimming pool. The client was from a wealthy family, quite generous, paid 300 yuan. On my way back I bought some meat and a bit of coarse rice. Tonight we're having a feast, Su Guanyuan said, beaming at Wang Hao. A day of manual labor usually brought in around 100 yuan, which in the current social climate barely covered a day's meals for both Wang Hao and Su Guanyuan. For the client to pay 300 was a rare display of generosity, which explained Su Guanyuan's delight. Brother Su, I've got something good here too. Wang Hao pointed at the boxed meals. What is it? Boxed meals, Wang. Boxed meals. Su Guanyuan opened one and was instantly captivated by the aroma of the rice. This is white rice made from polished grain. Su Guanyuan exclaimed in astonishment. Polished rice was a luxury reserved for the wealthy. The poor could only afford synthetic paste. To improve their meals, people like him could only buy coarse rice mixed with bran. The glistening white rice in this box was something they could never afford. Wang Hao, where did you get all this white rice? Su Guanyuan turned to Wang Hao, asking in surprise. From opening an airdrop crate. I got 100 portions. Wang Hao said. An airdrop crate. Right, it's your birthday yesterday, so you could enter the virtual battlefield. But isn't it true that you can only open an airdrop crate if you win the championship? Could it be? Su Guanyuan's astonishment deepened. Wang Hao smiled and nodded. Wang Hao, you're incredible. You won the championship on your very first day in the virtual battlefield. Amazing. Su Guanyuan was extremely excited, as if he were the one who had achieved the victory. Calm down, calm down. Wang Hao chuckled. It's just one first-place finish. Just? Su Guanyuan stared at Wang Hao with wide eyes and said, you have no idea how many experts go 10 days or half a month without winning a single first place. For you to get first on your first day in the virtual battlefield would cause a sensation if word got out. Let's keep a low profile. It's better to stay low-key. Wang Hao quickly said. It took Su Guanyuan a while to calm down. He said to Wang Hao, we really should celebrate properly today. But what are we going to do with all these boxed meals? We can't possibly eat them all, and we don't have a refrigerator. How about we sell them? It was indeed a problem. The two lived in poverty and had no refrigerator at home. The 100 boxed meals were good, but they wouldn't last long before spoiling. It would be a shame to waste such fine food. All right. Wang Hao nodded. Let's go now. Su Guanyuan was eager. It's mealtime now, so there should be plenty of interested buyers. Wang Hao had no objections. They acted immediately, hailed a taxi, loaded the boxed meals into the trunk, and headed straight for the city center. White rice was a luxury item with no market in a slum like District 38, and it could even attract malicious attention. Therefore Wang Hao and Su Guanyuan had to go to the affluent district downtown to sell it. Taking a taxi was a luxury for them, but with that many boxed meals they had no choice. Indeed, whether in the real world or this apocalypse, a vehicle is essential. I wonder if I could ever pull a car out of an airdrop crate. Wang Hao mused to himself. Airdrop crates contained all sorts of things. Opening one was like scratching a lottery ticket, and even finding a car wouldn't be surprising. They soon arrived at the affluent district, which had a dedicated street market for buying and selling goods. Su Guanyuan was more familiar with this area than Wang Hao, as he often came here to work for wealthy families. Led by Su Guanyuan, they arrived at the market. Su Guanyuan paid 100 yuan to rent a somewhat secluded stall temporarily. The rent for stalls here was not cheap. His 100 yuan only covered 1 hour. Boxed meals for sale. Aromatic white rice. Guaranteed to make you crave a second bite after the first. After setting up the boxed meals on the stall, Su Guanyuan began hawking them loudly, while Wang Hao curiously observed the surroundings and the people. This was Wang Hao's first time in the affluent district. The residents here, in terms of both attire and complexion, were incomparable to those of District 38. In contrast, the residents of District 38 were practically beggars. Perhaps in the eyes of the wealthy, people from places like District 38 were no different from beggars. Su Guanyuan was no stranger to hawking, given his frequent labor work, and his practiced calls soon attracted a crowd of onlookers. White rice. The sheen looks good. The aroma is wonderful. The last time I had white rice, it wasn't this fragrant. This must be top quality. The two of you are plainly dressed, yet you have such high-quality white rice. You must have gotten it from an airdrop. Lucky you winning the championship. Before long, a sizable crowd gathered around Wang Hao and Su Guanyuan's stall. White rice was always popular, and the 100 portions Wang Hao had obtained were of notably high quality, making them even more sought after. These boxed meals were brought out of the virtual battlefield by my brother here. The quality is guaranteed, and there's still... Su Guanyuan promoted the white rice with great effort. Look at the color, smell the fragrance. Absolutely top-notch. Missed this chance, and it's gone. How much for one? Someone finally asked. 80 yuan per portion. No haggling. Su Guanyuan earned only about 100 yuan for a full day of hard labor, so selling a portion of white rice for 80 yuan was a steep price. However, Su Guanyuan wasn't worried about selling them. White rice was a highly sought-after commodity, and this price would certainly attract buyers. Sure enough, after hearing the price, hardly anyone hesitated before making purchases. "He'll take one. Give me 5, give me 5. Amidst the flurry of bids, a clear, hearty voice cut through the crowd's clamor. 150 per box. He'll take them all. Who's being so arrogant?" The sudden voice drew the crowd's ire. Did having money make you that special? They had money too. But when the crowd saw who had spoken, they all swallowed their words. Shang Yunjin, the eldest young master of the Shang family. The Shang family was a prestigious clan in Silverlight City, wielding immense influence in both military and commercial spheres. As the son of the current family patriarch, Shang Yunjin's sway over Silverlight City was naturally considerable. The crowd gathered around the stall instinctively parted to make way. Though they too lived in the affluent district and had some family wealth, they were nowhere near the Shang family's level. They weren't in the same league. Shang Yunjin strolled up to the stall, inspecting the boxed meals on display. The quality is indeed excellent, even if the packaging leaves something to be desired. Shang Yunjin turned to Su Guanyuan and asked, "Are these boxed meals yours?" They're my brother's," Su Guanyuan replied, visibly nervous under Shang Yunjin's gaze. "He got them from the virtual battlefield." "Rice of this quality could only come from the virtual battlefield," Shang Yunjin remarked, shifting his gaze to Wang Hao. "You're quite fortunate." Claiming victory in the virtual battlefield required skill, but luck was equally crucial. Even a champion wasn't guaranteed to pull something valuable from an airdrop crate. Fortune played a significant role there as well. Wang Hao simply offered a faint smile without responding. This plain white rice might be a treasure to others, but to him it was nothing special. "They'll take all of these boxed meals at 150 each. Any problem with that?" Shang Yunjin asked. "None," Wang Hao replied, shaking his head. He wouldn't refuse someone willing to pay more. Money was always important no matter where you were. Two men emerged from behind Shang Yunjin, handed Wang Hao 15,000, and then carried away all the boxed meals from the stall. Seeing the boxed meals gone, the onlookers gradually dispersed. "If you come across anything good in the future, feel free to contact me. Money is no object. Remember, I only want quality items," Shang Yunjin said to Wang Hao. Shang Yunjin was well aware that the virtual battlefield contained many valuable treasures that couldn't be measured by money alone. If one could acquire such items with mere currency, it would be an absolute bargain. The Shang family's endurance and growth over the years were largely due to their acquisitions of premium goods from the virtual battlefield. Therefore, whenever they encountered promising players, they would often leave contact information. Of course, Shang Yunjin didn't leave his own contact details. He left his personal assistants. As the eldest young master of the Shang family, he couldn't casually give his private contact to strangers. Wang Hao took the business card and examined it, but by then Shang Yunjin had already left with his entourage. Wang Hao were rich. Ha! Once Shang Yunjin and his group were gone, Su Guanyuan could no longer contain his excitement and burst into laughter. 15,000. How long would he have to toil as a laborer to earn that much? And Wang Hao had made such a huge sum just by playing a single game. Indeed, to establish oneself in this society, or even to become wealthy, one had to rely on the virtual battlefield. It was just unfortunate that he lacked the talent for it. However, Wang Hao's aptitude in this area seemed promising, which delighted Su Guanyuan. 15,000 is nothing to get this excited about, don't you think? Wang Hao pocketed the card with a smile. Just 15,000. Su Guanyuan stared at him with wide eyes. Wang Hao, this is 15,000. With this money, we could even rent a place in the commoner district. Moving out of the slums had always been Su Guanyuan's dream. He yearned for it in his dreams. Brother Su, we need to think bigger. This is just the beginning, Wang Hao chuckled. Before long, we won't just be renting. We'll be buying a house outright, and in the affluent district at that. But Su Guanyuan just shook his head. The affluent district? I don't dare dream of that. If I could own a house in the commoner district in this lifetime, I'd be satisfied. Years of struggling in society had taught Su Guanyuan the harsh reality. Without talent for the virtual battlefield, it was nearly impossible to turn your life around, let alone climb the social ladder. While one could hunt mutated beasts outside the city for money, it was far too dangerous. A single misstep could mean death. Moreover, without the talent for the virtual battlefield, one couldn't obtain quality equipment, and without good gear there was no way to protect oneself in the wilds, making it even easier to fall prey to mutated beasts and zombies. Su Guanyuan knew full well that he had no aptitude for the virtual battlefield. Given his circumstances, unless something unexpected happened, he would remain at the bottom rung of society for life. Owning a house in the commoner district was already an ambitious goal. That's what I'm here for, Wang Hao grinned. A house is nothing. It won't be long before that dream becomes reality. Su Guanyuan merely smiled without saying anything, clearly unconvinced by Wang Hao's bold claims. In his view, Wang Hao hadn't yet experienced the real world and didn't understand its cruelty. He was underestimating the difficulty of buying a house, and that one lucky first-place victory had inflated his confidence. Wang Hao didn't bother explaining further. He could see that Su Guanyuan didn't believe him, but saying more now would be pointless. Only when he actually earned that much money would Su Guanyuan come to believe it. Brother Su, I'm thinking of checking out the virtual mall. Want to come along? Wang Hao asked. One major use of exchange points was to redeem items in the virtual mall. This virtual mall wasn't inside the virtual battlefield itself, but rather a building. The famed virtual mall tower situated in the center of every city. This structure had appeared alongside the virtual battlefield. Bill pass, Su Guanyuan said. I used up all my exchange points a few days ago. All right, Wang Hao replied. Then take a look around here, buy some food and necessities. We're running low on supplies at home. With that, Wang Hao handed Su Guanyuan 5,000. So much. Su Guanyuan refused, repeatedly looking at the money Wang Hao offered. This is money you earned. I can't take it. I have my own. Why are we being so formal with each other? Wang Hao said. If it weren't for you looking after me all these years, I'd have starved to death long ago. Save your own money. Use mine for now. Su Guanyuan was about to decline again, but Wang Hao forcefully pressed the money into his hands. Seeing Su Guanyuan trying to give it back, Wang Hao added, Brother Su, if you keep being so polite, they'll start treating you like a stranger too. Hearing this, Su Guanyuan paused mid-motion. He looked at Wang Hao for a moment before finally accepting the money. So this is the virtual mall tower. Wang Hao's face showed astonishment as he gazed at the towering structure. This was the first time Wang Hao had seen the virtual mall tower with his own eyes, yet long before this moment, he had heard its renowned name more than once. The virtual mall tower emerged alongside the virtual battlefield. The instant humanity deciphered the technology of the virtual battlefield, the virtual mall towers materialized abruptly. No one knew where they came from or who constructed them. Their appearance was sudden and inexplicable. At the heart of every major city where surviving humans had gathered, a virtual mall tower had arisen. Within the borders of China, there were 9 such great cities and correspondingly 9 virtual mall towers. The true height of the virtual mall remained unknown to this day. It soared into the clouds, its uppermost reaches shrouded in a faint haze that veiled the view. Some had attempted to approach by aircraft, but whenever these planes neared the mist encircling the tower, they lost control. After several aircraft were lost in succession, no one dared to try again. In this post-apocalyptic era, aircraft were precious resources that no one was willing to squander. After the arrival of the virtual mall tower, people quickly began to piece together fragments of information about it. First, the virtual mall was intrinsically linked to the virtual battlefield. The exchange points earned within the virtual battlefield could be spent on purchases inside the virtual mall. Second, shopping in the virtual mall came with restrictions. The first floor was open to everyone, but from the second floor upward, each level had its own requirements tied directly to one's highest rank in the virtual battlefield. To enter the second floor of the virtual mall, one had to achieve at least bronze 4 in any mode of the virtual battlefield. For the third floor, a rank of bronze 3 was needed, and so on. In essence, reaching higher floors demanded a high rank within the virtual battlefield. Whenever someone attained a certain floor, the haze surrounding it would dissipate automatically. To date, the highest known rank achieved was Ace with 4 stars, which meant the virtual mall tower in that person's city had been unlocked up to the 34th floor. Yinguang City, where Wang Hao resided, was one of China's 9 major cities, and its virtual mall tower was currently unlocked up to the 20th floor. Yinguang City is this underwhelming. Not a single ace-ranked person here. Wang Hao muttered to himself, staring at the virtual mall tower before him. As he spoke, Wang Hao had already begun striding toward the tower. Neither the person he was now nor the person he had been before had ever set foot inside the virtual mall, for he had only just turned 18 yesterday. Surrounding the tower were bustling streets and markets. The importance of the virtual mall was self-evident. Nearly every adult came here, resulting in an immense flow of people. Consequently, the area around the tower had become prime real estate, its prosperity rivaling or even surpassing the busiest thoroughfares of the world's most prominent metropolises. Wang Hao pushed through the dense crowd and finally stepped inside the tower. Within, the lighting was resplendent and the decor opulent, making it resemble a lavishly furnished upscale shopping mall. In the center of the grand hall, small display stands were arranged in neat rows. Each stand showcased an item with a screen above it displaying its description. Wang Hao approached one of the stands where a handgun was displayed, its details shown on the screen above. P-18C handgun, the weakest handgun in the virtual battlefield. Uses 9mm ammunition. Can switch to fully automatic mode for suppressive fire. Fast fire rate. Magazine capacity of 17 rounds, expandable to 25. Significant recoil when fired. Exchange price 30 exchange points. So it's the P-18C handgun, Wang Hao murmured to himself. This handgun was naturally familiar to Wang Hao. Whether in the Battle Royale game or in the virtual battlefield, it was never a popular weapon. Unless there was absolutely nothing else to pick up, scarcely anyone would choose it, for its damage was pitifully low. so low it could barely inflict any harm on armor. Yet even this handgun, so universally disregarded, carried a price tag of 30 exchange points. Though Wang Hao could earn over 30, or even more than 40 exchange points in a single match, the majority of people could only scrape together 5 or 6 exchange points per session in the virtual battlefield. The price of this handgun was equivalent to what an ordinary person might earn from 5 or 6 trips into the virtual battlefield, by no means a trivial sum. And this is just the most common, most basic handgun. If this is the price for a handgun, how exorbitant would the cost be for a submachine gun, an assault rifle, or even an airdrop weapon? Wang Hao said to himself. However, Wang Hao would not be seeing the prices of those firearms today. His highest rank was currently only Bronze V, which meant he had no qualification to ascend to the second floor. The entire first floor contained nothing but handguns, and even those were limited to just 5 models, all of which were mediocre across every metric. Clearly a place accessible to everyone, like the first floor held nothing of real value. To acquire quality goods, one had to ascend to the higher levels. Wang Hao examined all 5 handguns, including their specifications, and found them largely indistinguishable from those in the Battle Royale game and the virtual battlefield. In the end, he purchased nothing. Though he had accumulated some exchange points, he had no intention of squandering them on firearms with such poor cost-effectiveness. He had no immediate need for a gun and could easily wait to exchange for one later. The first floor of the virtual mall was vast, yet the goods on offer were limited to just those 5 items. The remaining space stood empty, where groups of people gathered in clusters, chatting and discussing matters related to the virtual battlefield and the virtual mall. "Hey buddy, here to shop." Just as Wang Hao was about to leave, someone patted him on the shoulder from behind, calling out to him. "Just looking around," Wang Hao replied, casually sizing up the man. The man was slightly older than him and of similar height, but noticeably stouter. His small eyes gleamed with shrewdness. "No exchange?" the stout man asked. "No," Wang Hao shook his head. "You need something?" "Well, you see, I'm a merchant," the stout man said. "If you're in urgent need of money, you can exchange for items and sell them to me. I'll give you a satisfactory price." "Sell to you?" Wang Hao seemed to grasp his role. Wasn't this a middleman, or rather an intermediary? Though calling him a scalper would probably also be accurate. "That's right," said the stout man. "So you buy from me and sell to others?" Realizing his role, Wang Hao couldn't help but chuckle. Indeed, no matter where one went, such people always existed. "Exactly," the stout man admitted without shame. "Then why don't I just sell the points directly to buyers myself?" Wang Hao asked. "Points can be transferred directly, can't they?" Wang Hao didn't believe this stout man would offer him a fair price out of kindness. Since he was in business, he was bound to profit from the deal. Wang Hao had no intention of letting him make that profit. "Points can indeed be transferred directly," the stout man said. "But can you trust the buyer? Aren't you afraid they'll take your points and not pay?" "I, Sun Yinfeng, have been in this line of work for years. Go ask around. My reputation is solid. Besides, I know many people and can guarantee to help you move your goods." Some people, when in urgent need of money, would sell their points. Points were a hard currency, and there were plenty of buyers, especially among the wealthy. Su Guangyuan had sold points before, and the trade had even formed a market. The stout man, named Sun Yinfeng, was clearly one of those engaged in this business. However, the points trade often saw instances of betrayal, especially when dealing with unfamiliar people. Either the points would be swallowed or the money would be robbed. In short, completing a transaction smoothly was no easy feat. "Then why don't I just sell the points directly to you? Why bother buying things here?" Wang Hao asked. This was his first encounter with this circle, and he was naturally curious to learn more. Although he had no intention of selling his points. "That's certainly possible," Sun Yinfeng said. "However, many times items are worth more than points. Anyone can buy things on the lower floors, but items on the higher floors, or even those obtained from the virtual battlefield, are not accessible to everyone. Their value is considerable. If you have such things you want to sell, I can handle it for you." So Sun Yinfeng's target was these items. As he said, items from the higher floors of the virtual mall, and those from airdrops in the virtual battlefield, were not things everyone could possess. The former required a high rank, while the latter required strength and luck. In short, these two types of items were not as common as the ones on the first floor. This was precisely what Sun Yinfeng wanted to deal in. The value of such items was usually high, making them easy targets for others' covetousness. If one truly wanted to sell, having someone like Sun Yinfeng to help would indeed be a great advantage. Today, Wang Hao and Su Guangyuan selling boxed meals was a similar act. Although their sales went smoothly, if they hadn't happened to meet Shang Yunjin, they might not have sold the meals at a high price. But with someone like Sun Yinfeng, the situation might have been different. "I would like to sell such things, but unfortunately, I don't have any," Wang Hao said with a smile. "No problem. Not having them now doesn't mean you won't in the future. Let's exchange contact info. If you ever have anything to sell, contact me. Of course, you can also find me if you want to buy something," Sun Yinfeng said. "All right." Wang Hao didn't refuse and added Sun Yinfeng's contact. They exchanged contacts using their wristbands, which could be used as phones. In short, they had many functions. After adding Wang Hao, Sun Yinfeng left. Wang Hao watched him approach another person, his sales pitch hardly changing. Seeing this scene, Wang Hao smiled and shook his head. Around the virtual battlefield and virtual mall, many related markets and circles had emerged. Many people relied on these markets and circles for survival. Sun Nianfeng was one of them, and Wang Hao too was becoming one. Due to rank restrictions, Wang Hao couldn't go up to the second floor. The first floor had limited items, so after browsing he left directly. When Wang Hao met up with Su Guanyuan again, he found that he had bought quite a lot of things, mostly daily necessities, and bought so much. Wang Hao said, helping to carry the items. Might as well buy more while I have the chance, Su Guanyuan said with a smile. These are all things I need. I didn't waste money. Brother Su, I'm not saying you're wasting money, Wang Hao said, looking at Su Guanyuan, who was busy explaining. The money is yours. How you use it is your decision. I won't interfere. Oh, Su Guanyuan said, scratching his head sheepishly. The two took a taxi back to the slums with their things. After returning home, Su Guanyuan busied himself in the kitchen. As for Wang Hao, he wasn't skilled in cooking, and Su Guanyuan had been taking care of him all these years. Wang Hao looked around Su Guanyuan's home. It was slightly better than his own, but only slightly. Both lived in the slums, so their living conditions weren't much different. Done. Time to eat. Soon Su Guanyuan had prepared several dishes. Wang Hao, catching the aroma, couldn't help but sniff and smile. Brother Su, with your cooking skills, you'd easily qualify as a head chef at a 5-star restaurant. I do like that, but no one wants me, Su Guanyuan said with a laugh. Wang Hao was genuinely hungry, and Su Guanyuan's cooking was indeed good. He quickly immersed himself in eating. It wasn't until he finished his second bowl of rice that he had the mind to ask what Head wanted to know earlier. Brother Su, take a look at my wristband. Is there anything special about it? Wang Hao extended his wristband towards Su Guanyuan. Special? Su Guanyuan said, chewing on meat while examining Wang Hao's wristband with a puzzled look. Nothing special about it. Wang Hao had eaten a lot, and Su Guanyuan had also eaten plenty. For him, today was a rare feast. Take a closer look. Really nothing. Wang Hao shared the wristband's information with Su Guanyuan. Really nothing, Su Guanyuan said. Among this information, do you see something called accessibility features? Wang Hao asked, not feeling reassured. He trusted Su Guanyuan deeply, which was why he asked him to check his wristband. Accessibility features. No, I don't see it, Su Guanyuan said. What is this accessibility features you're talking about? How could such information be in a wristband? Oh, nothing. I was just asking, Wang Hao said, withdrawing his hand. Su Guanyuan had looked several times and said he didn't see it. It seemed that the accessibility features information was visible only to him. With that, Wang Hao was completely reassured.